to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Why don't you make like a tree and get out of it?
The blackest dies.
Kill your God.
Come on! Make this pencil. You're terminated, fucker.
Live or die, man.
Roads? We're going, we don't need roads.
There can be only one.
Kill you all.
Goonies never say die.
We don't need each other. As you can see, I'm not happy.
Are you not entertained?
This is friend.
Happy trails, Hans.
Welcome back to the Skewered Universe Podcast. My name is Jeff. Leanne is not with me on this episode, but it's January, so you guys know what that means. We did this last year. We're doing it again. It's January is for Giallo. And we're doing a fun movie, but I couldn't do this alone. So you remember him from previous episodes. He was here last year for our Giallo coverage. We talked about opera, and we're going to talk about another movie tonight. Please welcome Mr. Chuck Nasty to the show. How you doing, Chuck?
You might remember me from such pictures as. Hey, what's up, man? The way you said it, I was just like, hi, I'm Troy McClure. You might remember me.
I don't know why that popped into my head.
Love it.
I think because over on Tales, Ron has been talking about watching The Simpsons so damn much.
It's one of the greatest shows of all time. I can't argue with that. And also, I mean, like as a kid that grew up when that shit was really kind of blowing up, as I'm sure you were as well. Treehouse of Horror is still something that I watch religiously, and my kid watches it about as much as I do. Actually, probably more now.
Yeah. I go through all the Treehouse of Horror episodes once a year, every Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
I marathon every one of them, and if the newest one is available, I watch it. If I have to watch it on TV, I'll just DVR it and watch it later, but...
Oh, I still get excited about it. I totally still get excited about them.
They're all just still really good.
Simpsons has always been great about parodying shit. Is that right? Yeah. And they're just that they just hit all the right spots. I mean, I remember when they did the whole, the Willie thing and made him Freddy. It was kind of perfect. That kind of shit though. But yeah.
So it's been a while since we had you on, man. So what have you been up to lately?
Fuck, man. God, let's see. I've been writing like a motherfucker.
Nice.
I've been. We've been finishing up. We're done with the recordings of our new album, and Bastard Sons of a Judascope.
Cool! Congrats.
Thank you. And we're working on the cover and everything right now, and hopefully be filming a video. Hopefully sooner than later. And we're more proud of this than anything we've ever done, I think. And playing the songs out live, people seem to really enjoy it. So we're excited about that. Back to the writing thing. That's pretty much it's the grind, man. I've been working on, I've been working on the railroad. No, I've been, goddamn, I can't help but to do it. But I've been working on four stories for 4 different anthologies that I'm going to be a part of.
Oh,
I've been asked to do 2 of them, which means it's kind of nice to not have to submit anything. It's just I'm already there.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them, I mean, they're all like full of great writers, but one of them has some old school mixed with the new school, and there's a couple of people on there that they're a part of one of them that I am fucking stoked for. And I can't say who all is going to be on it because I don't know if it's a hush hush thing yet or not. But
right.
As an extreme horror writer, there is at least 3 people that are going to be in this anthology that I'm kind of like geeking out over. So it's been cool. And then after I get those stories done, I've got a new book coming out in February. And on Unveiling Nightmares Press, which I signed to. And yeah, I've got 3 different novels that are half done, and then I've got 4 more in mind that I'm planning on writing. So it's just going to be a fucking 2024 is the year of nasty. That's what I've been saying and what I'm going with, and the universe seems to be okay with it, no matter how skewered she may be.
Very nice, man. Well, congratulations on getting signed. That's
Thank you,
awesome. Yeah. So the last time we had you was September. So you've been one busy fucker.
Have to be, man. I can't. I'm. It's like I remember. Our mutual friend JB used to, give me shit. He's like, "How do you do so fucking much?" Like, and it's just like, man, I don't sleep barely, and I make sure I'm never bored, because there's no such thing as boredom, only boring people.
Right. I get that, man, and I commend your drive.
Thank you.
Not a lot of people have that kind of drive. I commend it, and I hope all the best for you, man, with all these projects you got going on.
I appreciate that, man. It's not easy. I mean, it's with anything, it's really easy to get overwhelmed. But I keep my eye on the prize, and that candy bar is at the end of that fucking that exit there. You know what I mean? Like I'm just going straight forward. I'm going for the fucking Snickers, if that makes any sense. So that's actually a play on an old Robin Williams stand-up thing. But yeah, that's kind of my mindset, is just got to keep moving, got to keep pushing. And if I kind of fall back on my schedule, I can't get too fucked up over it, and just, hop back on and keep going. And that's what I've been doing. And it's been therapy. It's been beautiful. It's been awesome. A dream come true in a lot of ways. Nice.
I'm happy for you, man. I really am.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, you deserve it, man. You work hard. Let's get the payoff. Everybody out there, you need to support this guy. There will be links to all his stuff in the show notes, so you can go support him, get his books, get his short stories, check out the music, do what you can to support Chuck. We love Chuck here at the Skewered Universe.
Yeah. Can I just go ahead and just throw out the book names and stuff just real quick? Get that over.
Go right ahead.
You can go to Amazon and get my novella Thirsty. And you can go on there and get my novel House of Flesh, which a new video just popped up on the YouTube channel Splatterpunk, where he is reviewing House of Flesh. It's a pretty, it made me smile when I saw it earlier. So go check that shit out. But you can get that on there, and you can get Sludge, which is the collaborative anthology that I did with authors Jason Nickey and Stuart Bray. And then February 5th, I'm pretty sure it's 5th. Yeah, February 5th. On Unveiling Nightmares, I have Going to Hell, Fresh Kills Volume 1. Nice. It's an anthology where they all connect, and there's the plan is there's going to be 6 of them, and the final one is probably just going to be a novella. It's not going to be it's an experiment, but I'm trying to, that way I can get all these stories out, and then the very last one of them is going to be it's all going to tie up, and you're going to understand everything by the end of it. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of it, and everyone should go check that shit out.
Very cool, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and also I got to say this. I'm also going to have it on Audible. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, they did some auditions the other day, and this one guy, I can't remember his name. He was kind of perfect for it. So I can't wait to hear the rest of his reading for it. So yeah, pretty excited, man. It's signing with the Unveiling Nightmares, which I totally suggest everyone going out and checking out the YouTube channel, the website Unveiling Nightmares. You can find different authors that are on there. They're fairly new. They're indie, out of England, and great people, great stories, great creativity, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And I think that it's gonna get bigger and bigger, and better things are just gonna keep coming.
Nice. I'm excited for you, man. I'm very happy for you. You know, we support you here. So everybody else do the same thing and support Chuck and his endeavors.
Please buy my product.
All right, now for a limited
Yep.
time, get a free something.
Yeah, right. Thanks for that exciting offer.
If I remembered the whole George Carlin skit where he was like, act now and get a free premium, whatever it was, he ran off something that was so funny back in the day.
Yeah, Sam Kinison did something similar too, but they didn't try to bring Kinison back through AI. You hear about that shit? I know this is kind of off, but did you hear about that? AI has an entire comedy special. Okay, it's not video, it's audio, and I've only listened to some of it, and it kind of sounds like Carlin, and other times it doesn't, and it's just so. And if you actually listen to it, like the videos and stuff that go along with it that are AI generated and all that, and if you actually listen to what he's saying, it's kind of scary because it's Carlin would have been somebody that would have talked about this kind of stuff, but the fact that it's AI was more like, it was like, oh, you're not just saying what's probably going to happen, you're warning us. That's why I will stick by it. Terminator 2 is the scariest movie ever made because it's probably going to fucking happen.
Yeah,
but that's a little deep, and that's we're here to talk about Giallo, yeah.
A real quick thing. Yeah, I saw the story talking about it, and I was like, if there's one comedian who would say no to all this shit, it would be Carlin. He'd tell you exactly why.
Fuck yeah.
I mean,
that's 100%. And I got chills right now because I'm actually really pissed off about it. But yeah.
Yeah, Carlin was one of my one of the guys who got me into the type of comedy I like, and also kind of opened my eyes to a certain way of thinking.
Fuck yeah.
So
definitely.
Hearing that, I'm like, do you really think he would want to be brought back in AI form?
Fuck no.
I saw something somewhere where somebody commented, they're like, you're not just going to resurrect him in AI form. He's actually going to come back from the grave and fuck you all up.
Hey, I'm okay with that. If they reanimate Carlin and just so he can come back and get revenge on this shit in some way, I'm okay with that. But
yeah,
that's also a movie that we haven't watched yet, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we are here to talk some Giallo because it is January for Giallo here in the Skewered Universe. And we decided to watch a movie neither one of us had seen. So we went with 1983's A Blade in the Dark.
Composing music for movies. Interesting. What are you working on now?
And this was directed by Lamberto Bava, who I believe is the son of Mario Bava.
Yep.
And a quick synopsis here is from IMDb. A composer working in isolation on a score for a horror movie meets two women who used to know his house's former tenant. When the women disappear, he's forced to look into the film he's working on to determine what happened to them and who's responsible. And that's pretty much exactly what happens.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward.
I will say, and not to tip my hand too much, but I came away not too big of a fan of this in the end.
Yeah. Okay. So the movie's called A Blade in the Dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that title. It's such a Giallo title.
It really is.
It reminds me of the late 80s or mid 80s horror books that would come out. Even the cover of it looks like that, and it appealed to me pretty quickly. I don't know why I've never watched it. I don't know why I never checked it out. I think I put it on one time, but it was so late, and I was like, I'm just going to fall asleep in this. So, but it's a very appealing title and very appealing cover, and I did think that it was going to be better than it was. I didn't hate it, but we'll get there as we talk about it. But there's a thing in Giallo. I don't know what it is about piano players, about people that are in that, because we did opera, you know what I mean? Like there's just something about like the idea of a musician being tormented. I mean, we're already tormented enough, really. But like, and even the music that the guy's coming up with sounds Giallo, but it also sounds like Phantasm.
It really, see, I was thinking that too. I was trying to place it. That's a good thing because I couldn't place it to Phantasm, but it's very similar now that I think about it. Yeah. And there was another thing that stuck out to me was the actor who played Tony, was like the guy that owned the property or whatever that he was staying at.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, you've seen Demons, right?
Oh, fuck yeah.
That was the guy that was handing out the flyers wearing the like partial phantom chrome mask.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I thought he looked familiar.
Yeah, I kept looking at him going, I'm pretty sure it's the guy from Demons, but I've only seen half his face before. And I looked it up last night. I was like, sure enough, that was him. It's Michel Soavi. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that. I don't speak Italian.
Right.
Yeah, it's... I guess we could just... I think we can spoil this movie. It's from 83.
Yeah.
If you want to check it out, turn this off, go watch it, and then come back.
Right, as always.
But I just want to say, this thing kind of dragged for me.
I don't think it should have been fucking 2 hours long almost.
No.
Yeah.
It was this guy seemed to not be worried when these women would show up and be like, oh, hey, they're just showing up in this place he's renting, popping out of nowhere. And he's like, oh, what are you doing here?
Right. Like, oh, this woman was hiding in my closet. Well, okay. An attractive woman is hiding in your closet. And he's just kind of like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
But I would still be kind of fucked up. Like, hey, why are you here? Like,
yeah, he didn't even ask, like, why are you here? You need to leave.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, hey. And she was like hitting on him, and he was like, well, okay. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Well, it also goes back down to it. Like, well, us guys, not all guys, but in human nature in general, desires and shit like that and fantasies. And, if I was staying at a house, to record some shit, that, I'd never been to this place and whatever. And all of a sudden, like a, beautiful woman comes out of the closet. I'm probably going to go back to being a 13-year-old boy with that fantasy of, hey, just a woman, just walk out of my closet, never see her again. Just come on, Yeah. But at the same point, it's still like, why are you in this place? Why are you just hiding in here? What is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that, and that actually is one issue I have with this movie is how nonchalant this fucking guy is about everything.
This guy Bruno, our main character, he's everything that happens, even when he's recording a score for a horror film. That's what he does. He's like a new composer, up and coming, right? So he rented this place to compose the score for this horror film.
Yeah.
But even when he starts and he's listening to the playback and he hears a voice whispering on it, he's just like, let me write this down. This is very odd. He's not like, what the hell is that? How did this get in there? We don't even get an explanation as to how it shows up. Like there was never, it's like, is it supernatural? What's happening?
Right. Well, that's something else about Giallo is, that's probably actually one issue that I do have with the genre is that the regular human emotions, like, oh, strange person, acting kind of weird about it. Oh, these people are disappearing, blah, blah, blah. It's not real. Like, I mean, people, it's just like you watch all these movies and there's no one that's really that worried about it. I mean, some of the characters, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh, we should probably stay in the same place that all this murders happen. No, why would you do that?
Yeah.
It's like the scene where the girl, goes, is like, what was it? Katya.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes to swim in the pool and she finds the fucking box cutter, which we going,
that was Angela, I want to say.
Was that Angela?
Yeah, I think that was Angela. Because that was after, because Katya had showed up earlier.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Was murdered.
Yeah, which, okay, let's talk about that scene. Okay, so we have a woman who is basically behind a fence that, from what I can tell, she has plenty of room and plenty of time to try to figure out a way out of this.
Yeah, it's like an unfinished or like a partially damaged wall that still has some drywall, and you can see like the chicken wire that's supporting it. She could move further behind the wall and not be seen.
Yeah. I mean, he's not even, like, the killer's not even using one of those, like, sturdy fucking, box cutters. They're using the kind of box cutters that they give you, when you work at retail. The ones that break off like every an inch. And
real quick about that, I noticed there were multiple versions of this utility knife used this box cutter. One, like you said, showed where you could snap off the blade. When it starts to get dull, you snap it off, you get a new piece.
Yeah.
And then there are ones that I think were meant to be used for kills that didn't have any of the lines showing the blades, showing the scores to snap off. I'm like, it would have been so easy. Just a quick little scratch of the marks. I was like, that's not the same. It looks the same, but the blade's not the same. But, I mean, it's nitpicking, really, on my part.
Well, I mean, okay. So we're talking about the main murder weapon, if you will, that we first get a good look at. Because, I mean, again, movies about blades. So there's a few of them. There's a couple of them. Knowing, I was like, oh, box cutters. See, box cutters freak me out. Okay. When I say that, I mean, like, because they cut so clean. That scenes where people get like their ankles cut open and scalpel, Pet Cemetery, that kind of shit. But like there's been other movies where box cutters are used. Well, actually, I'll tell you one that fucked me up a little bit, if I remember correctly, was Green Room. Did you see that one?
Yes.
Yeah, that movie had a brutal scene with a box cutter. It doesn't matter if somebody's getting cut in the hands, the throat, the ankles. Dude, I've been cut by a box cutter. Anybody's been cut by a box cutter, it's like the worst paper cut in the world.
Yeah,
that shit. I mean, if it's sharp blade, and if it's a fresh one, dude, that thing can cut like nothing. I remember watching Gigi Allen. Okay, the late great Gigi Allen. A lot of people have their opinions. I don't give a fuck. I like Gigi. Not everything, but I'm a fan. But he used to do these spoken word things, which was him just bitching, and doing weird shit. That's what Gigi did. But there's an infamous one where he's in this like little room. It looks like he could be at a college or some shit. He's got a full beard, long hair, and he's growing a beard. He's got long hair, and he's got a beanie on, and he has no shirt on. And he is just up at the mic, just in this little room, just fucking screaming into it, or whatever. And he takes a box cutter and starts cutting like into his fucking stomach. I mean, just whisking it back and forth. He's like, my skin is like paper. And I'm like, God, dude. And ever since I watched that, I'm just like, yeah, skin's like paper. You're not wrong. Like, and you use a box cutter, it's fucked up. So like, I'm thinking, okay, box cutter kills. We're gonna get some good fucking box cutter kills. And I think there are some good kills in this. There's some good gore. There's some good blood moments in this movie, which we'll get to. But they could have done so much more with the box cutter. I mean, when I watch these fucking movies, I want to feel ouchy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I want to go, like I almost don't want to watch.
Yeah, that was the feeling I had with Opera last year. We were watching it because I'd seen it before.
Yeah,
but every time they showed the main character getting the needles taped under her eyes, I was like, no, because you can just imagine what that feels like.
No, thank you.
And I was so optimistic when I saw a box cutter. I'm like, okay, this is the blade we're going with. This is different because most Giallo, it's just a typical knife or some other means.
Which they made sure to bring that into.
Yeah,
they couldn't just leave it in the box cutter, man.
No,
they couldn't.
No,
that's my biggest. Honestly, that's another qualm I have about this movie is the fact that, like, because okay, this isn't a franchise movie and all that, but you have Jason with his fucking machete. You have Michael Myers with the butcher knife, and Leatherface the chainsaw, and so on and so forth. And it's like, okay, cool. I was hoping this would be a movie where the serial killer, used the box cutter constantly. But after the first kill, you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of a weak box cutter. Like, there's no way. Like, honestly, that kind of box cutter, if it's coming at you, you're going to get cut, but you could easily grab it and break it off.
Yeah.
You're going to get your fucking hand slashed all the fuck, but you can fucking break that off more than you can those fucking heavy duty ones my dad used to carry around on his utility belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those big, thick motherfuckers. Like, there was no fucking breaking those.
Yeah. Like, I've got a few of those still, and
so do I.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the ones that fold out are still sturdy enough that you can do some damage.
Fuck yeah.
This thing would have been perfect if somebody would have been sneaking around behind and like going after throats or, stuff like that. To attack somebody as if it was a regular knife, I think that's where it kind of missed the mark.
I do too.
Because they're trying to shove it through the holes in this chicken wire at Katya.
Yeah.
And the fact that she just kept pushing closer to the wire. It's like you had some room where you were far enough back at one point. You could have stayed back a little more and probably worked your way out of there.
Well, I mean, she stands there, like she stands there and like just looks at it, and like while they're probing inside, in the holes. That sounds dirty, and trying to get to her and like nicking her ever so often. It's like, man, you have plenty of room to not be cut by this fucking thing.
Yeah,
like. That whole scene, I hate to say it, I cracked up fucking laughing on it because I was like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah, I was not a fan of that scene.
Yeah.
Now, the other kills we get, I was more a fan of.
Yes.
But this one is like, what?
Yeah. So, so we have the Katya being killed. Mm-hmm. And then moving on to going back to Bruno being like, no. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Her friend shows up like the next day and is like, oh, have you seen Katya? He's like, no, I don't know where she went. She was here and then disappeared.
Like, she was here, wanted to have a good time. Yeah. And she just fucking left. I mean,
he finds her diary that she left there, which I thought was really weird.
That was stretching it. Yeah. Yeah.
The friend's like, oh, she came to get her diary. Like, why wouldn't that be at her home? for one.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, yeah, and somebody took some pages out of it. It's really weird. And the friend was just like, oh well, do you mind if I go swim? You're not worried about this dude who just moved in? Because he could have killed Katya for all you know.
Yeah.
Instead, she's like, eh.
Well, instead, she's looking at him like she wants to suck his cock. I mean, she's like, oh, my friend might be dead, and you're this strange guy telling me that something might be wrong, but you're not sure, and she's missing. Oh, well, hey there, I'm going to go swimming. Let me give you this weird look. But she's also the same girl that was kind of getting off on the fucking janitor watching her getting changed. Remember? Yeah,
she definitely was.
Yeah, she was very getting off on that. I mean, like, whatever, but like, not my favorite character.
And I want to point out, for an early 80s Italian Giallo movie, she is the only person we see give us any sort of nudity. She gets topless for a few seconds.
Right.
This one did not have the amount of nudity that I would expect in some of these. Like Opera, I don't think Opera had it, but Opera didn't need it.
Right. I mean,
but I was expecting, with the way these women were showing up, I was like, okay, they're going to try and seduce him in some way. This is going to, like, some sort of mental break is going to happen somewhere. Because I'll say this honestly, I didn't know who was going to be the killer by the end of the movie until it was revealed at the end of the movie.
I already did.
I didn't pick that up. So I was like, okay, is this going to be some weird thing? And then when it was revealed, I'm like, oh, I should have got that.
Yeah. And it's fucking, oh, God damn it.
It's Tony.
Oh, shit. What is, oh, I'm drawing a fucking blank. And it's who's the weird ass director? He was in Seed of Chucky. God damn it. I'm drawing a fucking, it's
John Waters.
Yeah. God. I love John Waters. But like, this guy reminds me of like, it's like, oh, we have John Waters at home. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like he's like the Wish John Waters. That's what he just reminded me of at the beginning. I was like, oh yeah, he's a killer.
At one point, I thought, okay, it's gonna be the guy's girlfriend who randomly showed up.
I do like how they made you think that. Yeah.
And then I thought, okay, maybe it's him, and he's having some weird break from this movie or something.
Yeah.
He never seems really normal, and he seems so nonplussed. It's like, well, you could be sort of like the dude in New York Ripper and have something wrong with you.
Yeah, not talking like Donald Duck.
Such a fucking weird movie, New York Ripper.
Yeah, I know. God, I love that movie.
Go check out New York Ripper if you haven't seen it, and then I guess check out A Blade in the Dark.
Yeah,
I guess.
Because I feel like, honestly, there's a lot I would have done with this movie. I think this movie had so much potential, and they screwed the pooch on it. I don't know. I mean, especially, you're Bava's kid. When you think Bava, you think of Daddy. You think of Papa, and that man has, a plethora of classics that are that are both equally good and bad, and but mainly good. But this one just, it's like, okay, going back to Bruno. And when I say Bruno, I immediately think of that stupid fucking movie with Sacha Cohen, Sacha Baron or whatever. Yeah, fucking I hate that movie. But like this guy, like I feel like if they went a little bit more, maybe we could have been more understanding of why he wasn't so worried about it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, for one, as a musician and a horror writer, this guy's a musician and he's doing music for horror movies that he even mentions kind of bothers him when he's first taking a look at the scenes. So it freaks him out and all that stuff. And especially when Sandra, the one that's making the movie, is talking about all kinds of stuff. It's like, oh, you're really creeping me out, whatever. If they kind of made it seem like the movie scoring it and all that was making him, making his psychoses a little bit fucked up, I think that would have been a good way they could have gone about it. It would have made a little bit more sense that the why he wasn't worried about so much, because he's just kind of in the throes of insanity, you know. And then that would bring in also cover up the idea of if you think you know, but you don't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think they could have had some kind of backstory with him to make it seem like it was more normal, that he wasn't that worried about stuff.
Right.
But they made him just seem like just somebody who just didn't fucking care. It's like, oh yeah, like he knows in his heart, like he is so sure that, you know, there's been murders that have happened on this property, and he doesn't call the cops. He doesn't. He treats it like a fucking his own personal fucking Nancy Drew book is what he basically does.
Yeah, and people ask him like, "Why haven't you called the cops?" He goes, "Well, I feel like I got to figure this one out on my own." Like,
why?
You're not an investigator.
Yeah,
you're a composer. Stick to what you know. Let the professionals handle this.
Who the fuck are you, Encyclopedia Brown?
Like, and I wonder if, okay, because I'm sure you watched this on Shudder like I did, I believe, right?
I did.
So I'm wondering if the dubbed version that we watched maybe changes a little, because a lot of times these things aren't translated exactly.
Oh no, they're really not.
So,
they're really not.
Because I was hoping there was an option to get like a dubbed, not a dub, but a subtitled version of an original Italian cut, and I don't know if that exists.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to know if that maybe changes how this movie flows. Because right now it's like he's just not plus. He's like, oh, these two girls are murdered. Everybody's like, oh, well, these girls just disappeared. You can't really prove anything.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, he's got some weird stuff on the tape, which he never plays for anybody.
Yeah.
He just goes, oh, I wrote down the phrase from the tape.
Right.
Why aren't you playing it back for them?
Yeah. Where's like your proof, you know?
Yeah, like
he's such a, they could have, it goes back to the potential thing. A lot of these movies, a lot of these Giallo movies, the characters are either stagnant or they're too much. You know, you either have the guy like Bruno who's like, oh, murders happened. Or you have the guy, you know, who's like, oh, I know for a fact I got to get to the bottom of this, you know, and it's like their life's work to make sure they figure out these murders and all that stuff. And that makes more sense than Bruno. Bruno, that was the whole time I was watching this movie. I'm like, God, dude, you were like, I don't know. Because he comes off like a Norman Bates, which is really funny considering how this movie ends.
Yeah. I will say that.
Yeah. Because, like, I already figured out, you know, again, I already figured out who the killer was. I had a pretty, you know, I wasn't 100, but I was 90% sure I knew who the killer was. But Bava did a decent job at trying to sway you into figuring out who it was. Because, you know, obviously, Tony's going to be a suspect because he's the fucking owner of the place. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, that's just duh. Which, I mean, like watching enough of these fucking movies, you know how the fucking pattern goes.
And that's why I was kicking myself, because I've seen enough movies like this. This is not this is a trope by this point. In 2024, this is something that has happened in numerous movies where somebody who gets introduced early on shows up just a few times, turns out to be, you know, the villain at the end.
Yeah. So
I should have seen this coming. Leanne actually watched this with me. She didn't want to come on because she did not like this one bit.
Oh, really?
So I understand it. She was like, I don't. I was like, do you want to come on since you watched this? She goes, no, I'm not into this at all. Which I understand. Well, I understand. If you don't have anything to bring.
No. You know, I'm going to put this down right now. Damn it. Okay. Every time I've been on, your wife has not been on there with us. So just I feel like it's me. So just tell her that I feel like it's me, and now my feelings are hurt. So
I will relay that message to her. I will relay that message to her and see what she says. But
Yeah,
I'm
because
gonna try.
I always dig her opinion on stuff. Like she's got a really good mindset for stuff, and I would like to hear her opinion on this as well. So next time I'm on, damn it, she needs to be on her too, just because I love talking to both you all, and after the Cannibal Holocaust conversation on Tales a while back, yeah, I would be really curious to hear her opinion of this. which you pretty much told me what it pretty much is. So.
Yeah, she could elaborate more, but she called who the killer was.
Oh, did she?
And she goes, the first time she goes, oh, it's probably the girlfriend. And then a few minutes later she goes, no, it's that guy, and pointed at Tony. And I went, how could you even? He's only showed up like 3 times, and it's been not even that much screen time. So I was like,
and that was where you fucked up.
And yeah, I was like, he's probably the red herring. It's probably the girlfriend, or it's going to be somebody else, or it's going to be. I was thinking, oh, it's probably Bruno at this point.
See, that
was wrong. So,
well, like I said, like I was pretty sure that it was Tony. I was like, it's just these movies. It just usually ends up being that guy. But like they did make it to where you're like, well. Is it Bruno having a psychotic break? When his girlfriend shows up, there's a couple of scenes, she has a knife in her hand. She's acting all kind of weird, whatever the fuck. It makes you think. And she's very jealous. She's kind of a jealous person, it seems.
Yeah.
And like he's sitting there telling her like, oh, this girl and there's something going on. She disappeared, whatever. And the only thing she can think about is, oh, you had a girl here? And he's like, she just popped up out of nowhere. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And so and the next time you see her, she's got a knife in her fucking hand. So they did a good job of swaying you to think that the killer was somebody else. But if you've seen these movies, when you're someone like us who watches all these, either you figure it out or later on you figure it out and kick yourself in the ass like it seems like you did.
Yeah, because now I'm like, it's so obvious.
It's obvious as fuck, yeah.
Because he's the only one that doesn't seem to have anything going on. Everyone else has got a little something, even Sandra. It's like, oh, she's really into these horror movies she's making, so she could be the one having a break. Which I knew it wasn't her from the beginning, even though when they had her call, it was like, Bruno, and all the weird shit on the phone. I'm like, yeah, that's you playing around. We get it.
But she acts weird, too. Like, because in these kind of movies, everybody's a suspect, no matter how obvious the main one is. Because she acts fucking weird in it, too. The whole, because the movie she's making, which we're going to go ahead and mention this. Anybody that's seen A House by the Cemetery or Manhattan Baby by my favorite Lucio Fulci, know that, well, especially House by the Cemetery, Little Bob. Little Bob has been said to be the most annoying child in all of horror cinema. And it's more or less, I think, his overdub, but that's beside the point. But he's in the beginning of this. He's in the scene that plays over and over again in this movie, where these kids are, picking on, Little Bob. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know if he has a name in that scene or whatever. But
yeah, I don't think he does.
I think he's just, kid. It's kids just picking on other kid, being like, "Hey, I bet you won't go down the stairs," whatever. And he goes down there, and there's a horrible scream, and then there's tennis balls covered in blood bouncing everywhere, or there's one, whatever.
Yeah, which is actually really cool. And I was like, "What the fuck is this opening?"
Yeah,
because you're watching this, and then it throws you to, oh, we're introduced to Bruno. It's like, wait, what's going on? And then later on, we see that scene played again. You're like, oh, that's from the movie. Okay.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that little turd was going to be in this fucking movie. That poor kid, man. Like, I don't know if that guy's if he's still alive these days or whatever. But like, if he keeps up at all with his career. Like, man, I feel bad for him almost because, like, every forum, anybody that mentions House by the Cemetery, somebody comments saying, fuck Bob.
Yeah.
There's never been a child in fucking horror cinema that people are just like, why doesn't he just die? Like, it's like there's a stigma you know, like we don't want kids to die. We don't want our, you know, whatever. But when you get a kid as obnoxious as Bob, and like I think second runner up is the kid from Babadook. Ugh, piece of shit movie. You know, but anyway, so like like the whole thing with the tennis ball covered in blood and all, like like it was. I think it was a really cool scene, and I was like, oh, this has like a really creepy, you know, and then it ended up being just a scene from the movie, and I don't know. I think honestly, I kind of was hoping the movie was going to go the way that it started.
Yeah. And by the way, the actor who played Bob, Giovanni Frezza, is still alive. He was born in September of 1972.
Okay.
Apparently, the last thing he did was Demons in '85. He was uncredited.
No shit.
Yeah. An uncredited role in Demons.
Wow.
He only did 9 movie roles is all he did from 80 through 85. Looks like it. A Leap in the Dark, House by the Cemetery, Manhattan Baby, Heads I Win, Tails You Lose. Something called Cuando Calienta el Sol, Vamos a la Playa.
Oh, shit.
Warriors of the Wasteland, A Blade in the Dark, Mani de Fata, and Demons. Yeah, so...
Hey, the kid starred in some fucking, I mean, classics. I mean, even this movie is like considered a classic.
Yeah,
you know, in the genre. So I mean, more power to him. I hate the fact that he's the most hated kid in horror movies.
You know what? He's left a mark because, like I told you over Messenger, I haven't seen House by the Cemetery or Manhattan Baby, but I know enough of my friends who have seen House by the Cemetery, and their reaction is, "I like the movie, but fucking Bob."
Fucking Bob.
Every time it's fucking Bob.
Oh,
and I was like, what is with? So I have to see this movie to see what everyone's talking about. But he's left a mark because so many people remember that kid. And I think most of them say it's because of the way it's dubbed for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure. I have to watch it myself to know for sure because maybe it's just something he does. I don't know. In this, it wasn't. He wasn't. I don't even think he said anything.
I think it's the dubbing in it. Like you whenever you decide to watch House by the Cemetery, I don't know, man. Maybe you should do a double feature, and we can talk about Manhattan Baby and House by the Cemetery. We can do a Bob double feature. You know, I definitely, whenever you talk about House by the Cemetery, whenever that may be, remember me because I
definitely
I love that fucking movie. It doesn't make a lick of sense, but it's one of my favorite movies. But back to this one, because I can talk fucking Fulci all goddamn goddamn day.
The way this, I just want to go back to the opening real quick because the two kids that were making fun of Bob, which is just a little blonde boy in this, but we're gonna just call him Bob because that's what everybody knows him as.
Right.
The dubbing for these kids was like done by like older, I don't know, they had to be like 20-something-year-olds doing the voices for these young kids.
Yeah, I thought the same.
And the Rico's like, "You're just a female" or whatever. I'm like, what kind of what?
Yeah.
Like, is something lost in translation here?
See, that's what I was wondering too, because I don't know if, because, you know, like in when we were kids and things like that, you know, oh, you're being a girl, you're such a girl, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And nobody was like, you're being a female. You're being such a female.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
just like,
I mean, it might be an Italian thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be.
They also say ciao 1,000 times in this movie too. Ciao.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Or as one person said, "Chai-ow."
Yeah, try out. Yeah.
Which I was like, what the Leanne called that out. And I'm like, what the fuck was, I was like, she goes, "You didn't hear it?" I go, "No, I heard it. I'm confused as to why it was said that way."
Yeah.
Like, did that person not know how to read chow? And they just left it in. They're like, "Hey, you know what? Fuck it. We don't have enough time to do another take."
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, like the only time that, I mean, which I mean, like there's a few Giallo movies where they say ciao instead of like goodbye or something like that. So that might just be a fucking thing, but I mean, because ciao means, you know, goodbye, you know, but
right.
But like yeah, it's, there are some things about these fucking movies where you're just like, and maybe that's one of the reasons why I like them so much. It's because there's always questions to be answered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the things I've really enjoyed about these. There's questions.
Mm-hmm.
This one is on the lower spectrum. It is not the worst thing I've ever seen.
No.
By far.
No.
But as far as the Giallos I have seen, it's towards the bottom of the list so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that one. I don't think it was horrible.
No.
But because I think that it, going back to it being, reminding me of like, 80s extreme horror books and stuff like that. I think that if this was in a written form, in like a novel form, I think it would actually be a much better story.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because they would be able to put more into it, explain more shit to it, and not be a fucking issue. Man, just so many. That is a problem with Giallo films. There's so many unanswered questions.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, and as a writer, sometimes we don't need to know everything.
Right.
And as a writer, when certain things aren't mentioned or whatever the fuck, it can cause issues within the story. With this movie, they could have given us something else. Like they really could have. I mean, like I don't usually look for the backstory on characters. Like that's not usually a thing that I want.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we have to explain why Bruno doesn't seem to give a shit about murders right there outside of his door, especially when he isn't the killer.
It's like, and nobody seems to think he could be. They're all like, "Oh, you're just a musician."
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, he should be the prime suspect. He's a guy who just rented this place. Nobody really knows him except the people he works with on the movie.
Yeah.
Random women are showing up and they're just like, oh, okay. And then dying. They're being murdered. And nobody goes, wait a minute, you might be the suspect.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, I'm not calling the cops. As a composer, I can solve this crime. But I'll do it in the most relaxed, nonchalant way that's ever been captured.
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
Yeah. Which, I mean, also going back to them trying to trick you, the mystery aspect of it, because they do have, because you have Sandra, you have the girlfriend, you have the groundskeeper, which I mean, like the groundskeeper is usually the obvious one.
Yeah,
that's usually, is like, do you remember the movie Pieces? Have you ever watched that?
I have watched Pieces. I fucking love Pieces.
Oh, fucking yeah, dude. That's such a great movie. Great story, great gore. Yeah. The groundskeeper on that one too. I mean, like they make you think that he's the fucking killer because he's this big scary fucking dude,
And what I like about In Pieces is it makes sense, but you're like, it's not him, but it makes sense why you would want us to look in that direction.
Exactly.
In this, I'm like, I don't buy this caretaker here as being the killer.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't care that he has the porn in his little wank den. It's like, what else is he gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I mean, that is the other time we see titties in this movie is the porn pictures on the wall.
Yeah, and in Bruno's little work area where he has all his instruments and piano and stuff, he's got nude pictures in one of his books that gets sliced up by the killer.
Yeah. Which that might just be a musician thing.
Maybe.
We like centerfolds.
I mean, titties are inspiration for a lot of things. So
I lived in a quick story. I lived in a house with 8 other people. It was on a college campus. I wasn't in college. I was just one of those guys. And yeah, we were renting from a church that was like right behind us, and we were one of the biggest partiers. It was bad. We got in trouble for beer cans everywhere and all kinds of shit, whatever. But like our house was covered in 2 things: classic horror movie posters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, it was like wallpaper. Like Halloween, Evil Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, anything that me and my roommates could find that was like horror related, we'd post up. But also, I used to collect. I don't anymore. I sold a good portion of them. but I used to collect classic Penthouse and Hustler and Playboy.
Okay.
And, you know, when you're 19 years old and living on your own and times were not like they are now, you know, it was pussy and murder. That's pretty much what was all our house was, man. We were the party house that you knew what you were getting into when you walked in the door. Horror movies and titties all around you. And I actually had a girl that I had a quick encounter with at one point who showed up, and she tried to rip all the titty pictures off the wall. And it was a whole fucking thing, and I had to fucking step in, and it was a whole mess. But
I mean, they're not hurting anybody. If you don't like it, you can leave.
I mean, you got them yourself. I mean, it's just, you know, it was nothing, you know, it was literally beautiful women showing their beautiful form. You know, it wasn't anything perverted. Nobody was getting fucking, you know, climax on the face or nothing like that.
Yeah,
so, you know, whatever.
You didn't have pictures from Hustler.
Right. No, well, we did, but they were the not so bad ones.
Not the super graphic, like, oh, hey.
Oh, not the ones I prefer. There was one poster that was in a magazine I had, and I wanted to put it above the TV. But my roommates were like, yeah, no girl's going to want to come and just sit here and stare at that. And I was like, why not? And it was like, well, there's 3 dicks going in there at once. And I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've always been.
Yeah, there's those who are like, you there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you are. Okay, I thought I lost you for a second.
No, I'm here. But yeah, no, going back to that shit though, like, I mean, there's a lot of like, that's just a musician thing. For some reason, I mean, like, inspiration, you know, depending on what you're writing, whatever. I mean, like, you know, who doesn't like to look at a beautiful woman, you know, for inspiration? So I get it. That was kind of a long-ended fucking and, you know, comment to that. But yeah, you know, but that is the only times that we actually see that stuff.
Yeah. Aside from Angela changing.
Yeah.
The only other nudity is seen in the pages from porn magazines.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, Opera, I don't remember Opera having nudity. I know New York Ripper had tons of it because it got very graphic at points.
Oh, God.
But this one was very mild on that and kind of mild on the murders because you only had a few.
Yeah.
But they did. I want to get right into one here because Angela gets killed in pretty brutal fucking way.
Oh, yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
She goes in to wash her hair after swimming, and we see someone grab a knife. Because at this point, we still don't know who it is.
Right.
Oh, when they jam it through her hand, I'm like, oh.
You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. She had her hand sitting right there, and you're like, oh, fuck. She's going to get it. I mean, that scene right there is pretty brutal. I would say that's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
I like that it was stab the knife through the hand to sort of keep her there because she's in shock and in pain, and then plastic back over the head. Just
always
right out of Black Christmas, which I'm like, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then we don't stop there. We get the repeated head bashing into the sink.
Yeah. And then the throat slash.
Yeah. Dragged over to the tub and then to finish it off, slice the throat. It's like, oh.
And I got to say, even though this movie is very mild compared to a lot of the others, that scene alone is pretty brutal. I mean, that's a pretty brutal scene. I actually really enjoy that scene a lot. I'm aware. I'm kind of a when someone dies in a movie and it's like, oh, they're just stabbed. Okay. But if somebody dies in a movie where their hand is stabbed so they can't move, a plastic bag's over their head so they're losing air, and then their throat slit, it's like you have a mission, sir.
Yeah.
Or ma'am or whatever. But, you know, because that also plays a fucking key in this movie, too. So I'm not just being a dick. Which I also got to... Sorry, I'm all over the fucking place.
No, you're fine. This movie is one that is kind of all over the place itself. So it's perfect for our conversations here.
It's like I wanted to like this movie because I like the story of it. I think it's a kind of a classic idea. guy goes, he rents a fucking place to go record some music, and then weird shit happens, and he becomes his own fucking detective.
Yeah.
Which again, like we've talked about, doesn't make a whole lot of sense in a lot of areas. But I think it does kind of keep with what Giallo is, which is basically a murder mystery to the extreme. Movies like this, Argento, Fulci. I mean, they've always done that. It's like, oh, well, who done it? Who done it? We don't know who done it.
Exactly.
Sometimes they do show you who does it, but in most cases, with a lot of the classic like this one, they don't show you the killer is. They want you to guess, and I like that aspect of it.
Yeah,
but there was just if they would have made the characters a little bit more realistic. Bruno the most, I think that I would have been. I just think his human emotion was just kind of. I don't know. I don't know if he's just. How do I word this? Because, okay, I can maybe understand it if Bruno was autistic. Maybe not fully getting everything or whatever the fuck, but he's very clearly not. He doesn't have any issues. And I will say that as a parent to a son that is autistic, I know how they are.
Right.
And if that would make more sense.
Yeah, that would totally clear up a lot of questions, but I think he just comes off as someone who just doesn't he's disconnected from everything.
Yeah, which I mean maybe that's what they were trying to go for too, because there is that psycho aspect to it, and I said he kind of comes off almost like Norman Bates. He's very nonchalant about a lot of things, but he's also a fucking Boy Scout. Yeah. He's got manners and whatever the fuck. But there's just, but it doesn't make sense. Maybe they were thinking if he acts nonchalant about it, then you'll suspect him as a killer, which they really don't need to do that because he's already a suspect.
Yeah.
When you watch his movies, it's usually, it's the main guy. Okay, I'm going to watch him for a little bit and see what what's going on with him.
Exactly.
This one was just like, oh, we're just going to make him just, he's one of those guys. He just doesn't worry about anything.
Yeah, even when his girlfriend shows up, he's just like, oh, what are you doing here? And she's like, don't you recognize me? It's me, your girl, Julia. I'm like, what is this conversation? Does he forget things? Does he have a memory issue? Is this like 50 First Dates, but way back before? His brain resets every day, so he forgets who everyone is? What the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Or does this guy just... It almost comes off like he doesn't care about anything really other than the music. But
well, I mean, yeah.
But even then, he doesn't seem to put in a whole lot of time. Like he told Tony, "Oh, I'll record that tape for you tomorrow," and never does any of that. Is never seen doing anything remotely close to that. It's right back to, well, I think these girls were murdered.
Yeah.
I'm going to be Detective Bruno for this. I think I would have liked to have seen him call the cops, them come in and be like, look, if you don't have any kind of proof, we can't really look into this, but, you are a person who just came in here and you're stating this, so you seem to be kind of a suspect to us.
Yeah.
So it's kind of odd, something. They wouldn't even have to come back into the movie until later. Maybe, you get that one cop who comes back around like, hey, if you found anything, you ever heard from those girls you said went missing or were murdered, according to you? Something.
Yeah.
But
the
only thing we get is him running around trying to do his detective thing, and he's not good at it.
Yeah. And then they slowly kind of take away different suspects. The janitor, they make you realize that he's not the fucking killer, which I didn't really think he was in the beginning anyway. I mean,
neither did I. I immediately was like, he's too. You made him too weird for me to suspect him, so he's already not on my list.
Yeah, and then he ends up finding the bodies in the that container. I don't know what it is. He's fixing something or whatever. And the
Yeah, it's
girl's
something to
hand
do with
falls out.
the pool purifier.
Yeah.
Because they've been
that's
talking
what it was.
about ever since Katya went missing, like over the next day or so, there's like, oh, there's this weird stench. And you're like, oh, what could that be? Well, you find out it's the bodies that are in there causing the smell, which
why wouldn't you already think that? Oh, people were missing.
Why
Things
wouldn't
smell.
Bruno go, oh, there's a smell. There's blood out in the yard when I went outside.
Yeah.
This Katya, I think she's been murdered. That might be the smell. We need to figure out where it's coming from. Nope. They just go,
No.
oh, there's a weird stench. Oh, we got a new pool purifier coming.
They should have had that one character that could have been like, hey, you're stupid. Like, because I mean, come on, man. Like, that's just too, because like, if I was in that situation, the first thing I'd be like, we probably should come around a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big place, like kind of, mansion type place with, plenty of room to hide bodies and whatever. Like, and dude, we've learned when it comes down to like serial killers, if you're smelling something funny, you probably shouldn't ignore it. I mean, fuck,
Yeah.
John Wayne Gacy fucking buried 30-something odd people underneath his fucking house, and everybody in his fucking neighborhood smelled it, and they all believed his bullshit until they realized, oh, he's a fucking killer.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that Bruno maybe isn't the best detective as he thinks he is.
No, it's like we've all been around pools. If a pool is smelling like decomposing bodies,
Something's dead.
yeah. Something's dead. Your pool should only smell either like, chlorine, or if you're not taking care of it, whatever bacteria is growing in it.
Yeah.
That's it. Should never smell like a dead body.
Have you ever smelled what it smells like when a pool hasn't been used for a while, and possums and raccoons and stuff end up drowning in it, and nobody cleans it up forever?
Not that far, but I've caught the smell of one. We used to have one of those above ground inflatable pools in our backyard.
Mhm.
Yeah, the blue one with the inflatable ring and all that.
Yeah.
And it got missed getting cleaned a few times. And I went out there and caught a whiff one day. And my nose doesn't work that well. I'll just come right out and say it.
Yeah.
But I caught the whiff of just the funk from the scum that was on the surface and the algae and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this thing's done. I'm going to try and clean it. I'm going to try and throw the chemicals in there. Nobody use it for a day or two while the pump cycles, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Luckily, it came clean. I had to use 3 different filters through the pump for it. But yeah, I've been hit in the face with that, but not animals that have been in there.
I had a buddy when I was a kid that they had this big above ground pool that we always swam in, all that stuff. And when it was around time to open it back up, because there was all these like trees around where they, right above the pool and all that. And there was, I guess it was 2 or 3 possums and a couple of raccoons had fallen in or something, and they were pushed in the filter or some shit. And it was just nasty. Like, I fuck knows how long they sat there. And the smell, like, dude, neighbors were complaining on it and everything. And then finally, when they opened it back up, they're like, oh shit. Yeah, somehow these motherfuckers got in here and drowned and just started rotting. So the water that had been sitting in there forever was a nice shade of black green, and it was gross. I mean, shit was growing on the fucking, and it was bad. we were the ones told to clean it up. And we got about halfway through. We told his dad, we're like, dude, we can't do this. Like, we don't give a fuck that much. Take us to the public pool. Fuck this shit. We're not doing this.
Yeah, that sounds
we're in
like
6th grade, dude.
Yeah, it sounds like a recipe for some cabin fever type shit.
Yeah. Oh, completely. I mean, because like anything that's dead, that's immersed in water for the longest time, it has the same appeal as going into a building that's been abandoned for a year and no one flushed the toilet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, even the smallest animal, when it comes to a pool, it can, I mean, one single fucking animal can make a pool turn into the most disgusting thing. And in this case, you have 2 dead bodies, and it takes way too long for anybody to even realize. I mean, okay, granted, they haven't been there that long, so I don't even bother. They're really smelling that bad. They don't look. The bodies don't look decrepit. They don't look like they're decaying and nothing like that. So, like, they could have done a little bit better with that for it to be like what smells so weird? You know, it's like, well, nothing yet.
I would have preferred if when the caretaker was taking that bottom plate off, that as soon as he got down there, he was like, oh, something's real bad. I smell it more here. Like something, like make a face or something. Yeah. And then as soon as that opens, like, and you see the hand, just have the hand look like it's decomposing, something running out of it, dark liquid, something.
They should have. And
just have him maybe just like leave, and you hear him like starting to retch or vomit off screen, something.
Same, yeah.
He just got scared because there was a hand, and then opened the top and was like, oh, there's the 2 dead girls.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, even a good example of this, a tragic example, but you ever heard of the Cecil Motel, whatever you want to call it? The girl that drowned in the water system. You know what I'm talking about?
It sounds somewhat familiar, but I may be confusing it with something else that I've heard.
Girl goes to stay at this hotel, Cecil Hotel, Cecil, whatever you would call it. It's an infamous hotel. Richard Ramirez stayed there. Jeffrey Dahmer had a room there. A lot of bad shit happens in this place.
Holy shit.
And this girl, there's a whole documentary. It's not a very good documentary, but there's a documentary about it anyway. Where this girl, actually, you've probably seen the actual video of this shit. Infamous video of this Asian girl. She's probably, I think she's in her early 20s. She's in an elevator, and she keeps walking outside the elevator, and it looks like she's being followed by somebody.
Yes, I know.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've seen the video. Okay.
Yeah. So what happened after that video was she disappeared, and people started complaining about the water tasting bad. People started. There was accounts of people talking about the water having a brownish tint to it when it came out, and they ended up having to go up and check it out. And when they opened up the latch, they found this girl floating, and she'd been in there for a minute, and she was decomposing. And you know, I would say that water. So that's the thing. Water almost makes things worse when it comes down to that. You know, because you put your hand. You know, you're in the shower or the bathtub for 30 minutes. What happens? Your hands and your body turns into a shriveled mess.
Exactly.
Right?
You're starting to absorb that water.
So I can only imagine what her corpse, because they've never, I mean, I haven't seen what her corpse looks like. I don't think they ever released what it looks like, but I can only imagine that she was fucking bloated and busted. Like, and that's, which, I mean, it's a disgusting fucking thing to think about, and it's fucking horrible. But that makes more sense. Like, okay, you've been in the water system forever. People are, there's brown fucking goo coming out of the sinks and all this shit. Like, why couldn't we get some of that out of this? Like a little bit more. I think that's a problem with a lot of these fucking movies is they don't go with fact on how things are. When I write, I try to make sure that I look up certain things because I don't want to sound like an idiot.
Right.
Somebody's been dead for a week in a fucking, in a pool system or whatever the fuck. Well, okay, they're going to be fucking rotting and bloated. Their skin's fucking busted open and shit,
especially
that's when that's when you know that they're going to smell. If they're in the situation in which they were in this, They're not rotting. They're just they're bloody, but they're not rotting. I'm sure that they would have a small stench to them, maybe. You know, I mean, because a body, after, depending on what the temperature is, a human body, a human cadaver, it doesn't take long for the body to start going into, you know, the process.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, so I guarantee there's probably a little smell. But man, in this movie, I just don't see that it being that bad to where they're like, oh, something just horrible. You know, I think they could have done a whole lot better with that, made it a little bit more.
Yeah, because if they were stuck in something that's a part of the pool filtration system, there should have been water in there.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been kicking back into the pool and changing the color of the water.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
None of that happened.
Nope.
And obviously it must be warm enough weather wherever they're at for people to want to go swimming.
Yeah.
So,
or for all the water in that tank to be fucking just dried up.
Yeah. So, like, if it's that warm, something would have been going on with those bodies. They wouldn't have looked so fresh and pristine, aside from the blood on them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, and this is going to sound fucked up to say, but they still look fuckable in that. You know what I mean? Like, they're
yeah. And some people say, well, it was 1983. It's like, that's not an excuse for that.
Yeah, no. That's
like, I get as far as some of the effects work, but the explanation of, oh, there's this stench and then two bodies that don't have any signs of decomposition, like, it doesn't add up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a ridiculous scene in it that I think they could have done better with.
Even if they wouldn't have tied it to the bodies and had them in there, and they would have found like a dead animal stuck in there.
See,
and the body that would have been
else. Good. Yeah.
That
would have made sense.
That's the smell. Okay, maybe those girls weren't killed. Maybe that's not the smell. Okay, it was just a dead animal.
Yeah.
And then if it still lingers after that, you can be like, oh, wait, something is going on. And then show us something that looks a little more gross. But
yeah, which, I mean, that would kind of be like the black cat. You know, like, it's always like, oh, there's the suspenseful moment. And you hear something and they open up a closet. You know, or they open up a cabinet and for some fucking reason the fucking cat's in the cabinet and jumps out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would be one of those moments that they could have made it like that. They could have made you think, oh, this is what this is. It's not what, you know, and then go back and show you, oh, this is where that smell was. It wasn't a dead animal. It wasn't this. It was this. They kind of fell flat on that one. That was kind of poor suspense telling on that one.
Because if he would have opened, you know, caretaker's working on that pump thing, and he opens it up, and like a dead animal falls out of there that somehow got in or somebody stuck in there, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That explains it. And then if it would have been him walking off, and then we see another area, and they pan over, and there's a body.
Yeah. That's
looking like it's decaying. It's like, oh.
Yeah, they don't know, but we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I think Pieces, going back to that, I think Pieces was good about that, kind of throwing you one way and going the other.
Yeah.
You know, that's, you know, I think that's actually an important thing in Giallo films and slasher films is, well, I would say Giallo, just because there's more of a murder mystery.
Yeah. You give us little tidbits, but other people are still trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, oh, you give us those little clues, those little breadcrumbs, and we're like, okay, we can solve this before the characters do, or maybe at the same time.
Yeah.
I think Blade in the Dark just kind of missed on certain things for me.
Yeah, for me too. I guess this was Lamberto Bava's second film.
Yeah,
that he did in the Giallo genre. I don't know if it was the second movie altogether, but it was his second contribution to the genre, I guess. And you know, so I mean, like, how do you live up to your dad? You know, how do you live up to, you know, how did Luigi feel? You know, you know, Mario Bava's your dad, and it's like, you might want to go back and take a gander and just kind of pick up some things, because I mean, like, there's no mistaking about it. Mario Bava was kind of the king of this shit. I mean, there's no qualms about that. I mean, if you want to go back and see some of the original Giallos and some of the original scares and the stories that went along with it, Bava's one to go for. And this also goes down to David. Fuck. Hold on.
I've done that. I've done that before. You're trying to make a point.
It fucking kills me. Well, it makes me look like a fucking asshole because I fucking know these people. Like I'm fans of these fucking guys. Fuck Cronenberg. Shit.
There you go.
His son. He did Infinity Pool.
Mm-hmm.
That was his second film. And I look at Cronenberg like somebody would look at Bava. He had his certain tropes. He has those certain things he makes sure he puts in, and he kind of follows the pattern, if you will. And when it comes down to, all right, well, here's the offspring. What are they bringing to the table? And I'm not sure if I've seen any other movies. I probably have and just didn't know it from Lamberto. I might have to look. Can you look up to see how many movies like Lamberto Bava had done?
He's directed 28. Demons and Demons 2 stick out to me because I've seen both of those.
Oh, okay. See, that's where that's where I'm a fucking asshole. I didn't realize that he did Demons. All I thought about was Argento.
Yeah. Same, because it's so tied to Argento, but he only, I think, was a producer on it.
He was a presents thing. It's like like Eli Roth presents Hostel.
Yeah.
Eli Roth didn't. Or was that? Oh no, Quentin Tarantino. There was some movie because I know Eli Roth did Hostel, but like there was a. You know what I mean? When they that kind of shit, they're very. It's like, oh, a lot of people think that, oh, well, this person. No, it was just they're presenting it. And that's because they're producers, and producers can say, we present it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a lot of clout right now. If I put my name on this as presenting, it might get somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. He also directed Devilfish from 1984, which I've only seen on Mystery Science Theater 3000. So,
oh, shit. Oh,
yeah.
Whoa. I want to say that I've seen that. I used to love watching that show.
I still will find myself going back to episodes and watching.
There's a YouTube channel that does marathons where it's like nonstop 24 hours.
Yeah.
Of that shit. Yeah, it's fucking.
They
great.
also have their own app now called for the Gizmoplex, so you can get the newest seasons. You can get whatever previous episodes they can acquire without rights issues and all sorts of things. They have those available.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy.
So the story of Devilfish is a marine biologist, a dolphin trainer, and a research scientist, and a local sheriff try to hunt down a large sea monster, a shark/octopus hybrid that is devouring swimmers and fishermen off the South Florida coast.
It started out like a joke.
Yeah. Marine
biologist and a pope walk into a bar.
Yeah, I saw that and I went, wait a minute. He directed Devilfish? He directed it as John Old Jr. So I'm sure he's like, look, I don't want the Bava name attached to this. So
that didn't last long though, did it?
Yeah, of course. In the internet age, we're all going to find out exactly who it was.
Well, I mean, you can only go far. Like, I mean, if you're trying not like Stephen King. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Hill. Joe Hill is completely the carbon copy of his father.
There is no denying. You look at those two and
it's like Joe Hill looks like his daddy and Owen King looks like his mommy. That's pretty much how that goes.
Yeah.
And, it's like, but Joe Hill, I mean, he wanted to make sure that he was not in the limelight with he didn't want to ride the coattails of his father. But your father is also the most adored horror writer of all time.
Yeah, he's
how is that going to stay in the shadows?
A renowned icon.
It's like, I mean, I appreciate it, but at the same point, I think that's probably, I think that's probably what Lamberto was probably thinking, was like, well, I'm gonna do this with I'm gonna do this without Dad, and then it was kind of like, well, maybe I need Dad on this one. Maybe I need the name I was given.
And that movie was done after A Blade in the Dark, so I wonder if he was like, "It's a paycheck. I'll just direct it real quick. Just give me a credit as this." Because he directed under that name once before as well.
Okay, so and you're probably right about that. I mean, I would say, because I don't know 100%, but I would say that, like, well, considering who some of my friends are. One in particular, when it comes down to offspring, again, Stephen King, Joe Hill, and all that, and Bava and his kids, and like, you want to get out of the limelight from them. You want to have your own spotlight. You don't want to be, because everybody expects something of you.
Right.
My buddy Cameron, who I'm talking about. He's been a writer, he's been a director. He's done this, that, and the other, and now he fucking runs one of the best restaurants here in Mount Sterling. and he has tried to, even though he doesn't hide his last name, because his dad, and I'm not even going to say it. If you know, you know.
Right.
But like, because of who his father is, a very well-known horror icon, the godfather of some things, he still tries to, he wants to have the name because he wants to carry on the legacy.
Right.
In some way or shape or form. But also at the same point, not, he doesn't want the name to always be his dad's, and make it his own.
Right.
In some way, shape or form, which also goes back to the restaurant here in town. And it's hard to do. Because, I mean, in some cases, in his case, I mean, he was shunned by a lot of people. Because of dumb shit and things I won't get into, but it's like, it's not always a good thing. Sometimes, sometimes you gotta break away, and that goes back to Joe Hill, and I don't blame him whatsoever. Cause a lot of people are like, oh man, if Stephen King was my dad, I'd make sure that my name, King right there. And it's like, would you? Do you want to be known as a hack writer that it just is writing on his dad's coattails? Not meaning that that's what you are, because Joe Hill's a great writer. If you ever read Heart Shaped Box,
I haven't read any Joe Hill yet. I've been meaning to get to it,
dude. Heart Shaped Box. That's I got chills. It's a good book.
That's the one I've heard from everybody to read. That's like
I think. Because I've read that, and I've it's not really the same, I guess, because I haven't read the book, but like I've watched Horns.
I did see the movie Horns,
and I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. It's kind of funny. The whole scene with in like the office, like he's waiting in the waiting room, and that whole fucking scene, like it's good shit, But I can't hate on somebody for trying to get away from a name that is very well known. And I also can't fucking blame somebody for wanting to make sure that it's known who they are, because they want to keep the name alive.
Right. Some people are like, look, I
legacy.
don't want the amount of stress that comes with having to try and live up to the name that's already been established.
Right.
By my, mother, father, whoever it is.
Yeah.
I want to make this on my own. But then there's others that are like, look, yeah, I'm using my name because that's my name, but don't let me in with who came before me, because I'm walking my own path. I'm doing my own thing.
Exactly.
Don't compare me to someone else because I do things my own way. You may see some similarities, but I'm my own person. I'm not a carbon copy.
Right.
Of
I mean, because there's gonna be similarities. That's like looking at my kid. Like he's got his own little personality, but he's me through and through. Although we had a talk today. I was showing him the cover of my new book, Going to Hell, and he liked it and stuff. And he was talking about us doing a book together. And I was like, yeah, we could totally do that. Because I have no problem. I would love to put out a book that's just like a kid-friendly horror Goosebumps thing that my kid helped write. Yeah. And I told him, I was like, but you're gonna have to, if you're gonna be on the book, you're gonna have to be Dax Nasty. And he's like, I don't want to be Dax Nasty. I'm Dax Daniels. He's very particular about his name. He has he has an uncle, if you will, who gives him shit constantly about his name, because he will be like, "Oh, tell that kid Max I said hi," and it's a whole thing. And Dax is like, "My name's Dax," and it's just because they have such a good relationship. It's one of my really good friends who's but it's the same fucking thing. Like there's certain things or certain aspects of it you're like, I don't want to be called that. I don't want to be known for that. And when going back to this movie, I don't think it was horrible. I actually think that in a way I like it more after we've talked about it. I still don't like. It's not a movie that I would watch a bunch.
Right. Right. Like if this was on, like if I flipped on Shudder, they do the live TV and it was on, I'd be like, okay, I'll just leave it there. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because even though there's some ridiculous bullshit in it, it's not a bad story. It's not a bad story. And that's important to me whenever I watch a movie like this. It's like, I want to know the story of it. Like if I like the story, then the story's fucking ridiculous. Going back to opera, like I think that was a killer story. I think that it was a good written story. That again would probably play out even better if it was a book. Which I'm pretty sure that somewhere out there is that opera novel ripoff. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Because like that's a lot of what Extreme is like, just kind of taking your favorites in the film industry and just kind of turn them into words. Yeah. But I think that this movie had so much potential, and they didn't even. I don't know if it was excitement. If this was his second film, what did you say this was his second film?
This was his second Giallo.
Second Giallo.
But, let me pull up here because he's directed 28 films total, and this was his. This was his fifth film.
Okay. Fifth film, second in Giallo.
Well, I should say 1, 2, 3, fourth film, fifth directing job, because he did direct an episode of a miniseries.
Okay.
So, fifth directing job, fourth movie that he directed.
All right. Well, I mean, I think for it to be his second Giallo, I don't think he did a horrible job when it came down to it. I mean, like, take away the elitist attitude that guys like us have. I mean, we're picky motherfuckers, okay? I mean, we really are. But taking away that, and, some of the stupid shit, it's not a bad story.
No, not at all.
Yes, there was some ridiculous shit in this movie. I mean, we've talked about it. Bruno. I think Bruno was my biggest problem in this fucking movie.
The end sequence to this gets ridiculous, but there is one really cool kill. There's a really cool kill of Julia where she gets stabbed through the back by this long ass kitchen knife.
Yeah.
And it's coming all the way out the front. Like all
Like
of
a
the blades
sword.
from the front. I'm like, that wouldn't happen, but that's
No.
freaking gnarly.
No. You'd have to, in order for that knife, I mean, it was a big knife. And, you know, and she's not a very, you know, she didn't seem like she was a very big girl.
It
But the
wouldn't have
thing is,
pierced her all the way through unless he shoved the handle the majority through her
he would
body.
have to he would have to have at least half of his hand with that handle going through her back in order for that to go so far through her like that. Now, not a bad scene, but I mean the facts I mean that's just kind of the facts of it. I mean it's kind of ridiculous, but
it's a cool visual. I'll give it that. It's a cool visual. It doesn't make any damn sense. And Bruno, again, he goes over to her like, Julia, nonplussed that she's dead, not upset or anything.
Right. There's no emotion.
Like, wait, dude, this is your girlfriend, apparently. Come on.
Like, you love her. You want to spend the rest of your life with her. She's dead.
Yeah. I think he's like, are you okay? I'm like, do you see the giant-ass knife sticking out of her chest? Of course she's not okay.
Yeah, but she's not doing too hot these days. You might want to give her a couple hours. Go get some Chinese food. Come back. She might be all right. No, like she was pierced right through the fucking heart. Like it's pretty. I mean, I don't know. I mean, thinking about it, I mean, you could. I'm thinking about how big the knife was because I mean, it was a decent sized knife.
Yeah, it's probably about the size of like a carving knife.
Right.
Probably like a 7 or 8 inch carving knife.
Yeah.
So maybe it could come through a little bit, but not as like the full blade that we saw. Because we saw the entire blade. And the handle on that thing was, a standard handle that you would see on a kitchen knife.
Right, yeah. I'm going to make a steak tonight. I need to... Where'd my knife go? Oh, it's in Julia's chest. Okay. Yeah, Jesus.
And another part of that end sequence is when Bruno hits what is revealed as Tony in drag as this Linda character. I don't think we ever mentioned.
Well, I was getting to that, actually. Actually, we need to pause real quick again.
Yeah, go right ahead.
And then we'll get to this.
Okay. I paused it just to be safe.
You're good. Yeah. So we're kind of at the end of the movie.
Yeah. And the entire movie we're told about the previous tenant was this Linda, and Sandra knows about this Linda person. It couldn't be the same one I knew.
What could it be?
Apparently it is. But yeah, let's talk about Sandra's death real quick because she gets taken out. It's fucking ridiculous.
It is.
But I like the idea of being strangled with her own movie.
Yes.
She was strangled with film and then buried, and I don't know where all this film came from.
Right.
But she's buried in this pile of film, and Julia finds her and is like digging through and sees her face. Is like, oh no.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. God damn it.
Okay. I like a good strangulation like anybody does.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Because I was sitting there thinking about that actually when I was revisiting certain scenes in the movie before we got on here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a scene that I was looking at, and I was like trying to think how sturdy is that kind of film. Because I remember as a kid, my dad had the old school, roller audio video setup.
I know what you're talking about.
And man, that shit was fucking delicate. It would get ruined if you literally did not have it rolled up and put in the fucking container thing, that it would be ruined. So I don't know how, when it comes to strangling somebody with that shit, like how does that work?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
There was layers to it, so it was like a bunch of film that had been like layered together.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know if you could strangle somebody with film. Because
I mean,
I took photography classes, and on old 35 millimeter film,
mhm.
even when I was developing it, you had to be careful because that shit would tear so easily.
You know, I'm gonna phone a friend. Because here's the thing. Okay. So my buddy Whitman, who I do graveyard talk with, he occasionally is on video Store Clerks when he's able to be. He's a photographer, Whitman Photography. Go check him out. So I'm really curious about this. I'm just gonna while we're on here, go
right ahead, man.
All right, hold on. Whitman, I am on Skewered Universe podcast, and we are discussing when it comes down to film, the actual film itself. Is it possible to strangle someone to death? Do you think with film? If so, but I don't know. Just let me know. Send me back a voice message so we can figure this out, because the curiosity is here. How durable is film? Would it be able to actually strangle somebody? You being the photographer that you are, I figured that you would be the best one to ask. So if you would be nice enough to send me back a voice message on that, that would be great. So we'll see. He doesn't do the voice message stuff too much, but we'll see what his answer is on that.
Yeah.
Because he is a photographer and he knows certain things. I don't think he's ever strangled anybody, with, but durable wise, because he's been around all that stuff a lot more than I have. Because that was something I was trying to figure out. I was like, it's an interesting idea. She's dying by her own film. Mm-hmm. There's metaphor there, fucking just saturating,
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's plausible.
Yeah. It's one of those things like, I like the idea of it. I like the visual of it. I also like the touch where she kind of turned back and the look of recognition on her face. Like she realized who the killer was in that moment.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Let's actually go ahead, because we haven't really talked too much about that, is the going back to the psycho aspects of this movie. Mm-hmm. We've talked about Bruno being very, very Norman Bates like, which I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if that's what they were going for, because of how the killer, being Tony, ends up being found. Mm-hmm. We see him just kind of like Norman Bates.
Yeah.
In the original Psycho. That end scene, man, that is probably, I got chills right now. Mm-hmm. I got a lot of chills tonight, apparently, but it's true though. I really honestly have goosebumps, because that end scene in Psycho, where you kind of, all the questions are answered.
Right.
Norman comes running down. He's got that look on his face. He's dressed like his mother, and it's kind of like, ooh. I'm not kidding. It hurts so bad because of the chills. Because even though the original Psycho is not my favorite, Psycho 2 is king to me.
I get that.
The ending of Psycho, the original Psycho, is so moving, if you will.
Yeah, that reveal that you're talking about is.
Yeah.
Even if you know going in, you're like, oh, Norman Bates is the killer. But if you haven't seen that reveal, it's like, oh, this guy's completely whacked out of his mind.
Yeah.
There is definitely something wrong here.
Yeah. I almost guarantee that Psycho was a huge influence on this movie.
It would have to be.
How could it not?
Bruno does come off very Norman Bates-esque. The only thing else that would have hit it home is if he would have walked out with a plate of sandwiches and milk. which is such a weird thing to offer people anyway. Here's some sandwiches and milk. I'm like, ugh, psycho.
I get Psycho. Let me think of ODB on that one.
Shimmy, shimmy, yum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Give me the mic so I can take it away. But I love ODB. But yeah, like I mean, even okay. So like in this movie in question, Blade in the Dark, when they show Tony dressed in woman's clothing with the wig and all that stuff, even though he looks, even though he looks like a fucking little Annie Orphy or
little orphan Annie,
little orphan Annie,
just with a black wig instead of a red one.
Yeah, like the whole outfit kind of looks like something that like Shirley Temple wore.
Yeah. Yeah. And just
like,
the scream and the crazed look on the face. It's like, what the hell?
And see, in that, like, that's the one thing. Even though I already figured out in my head who the killer was, I wasn't expecting that. They show that there's a possibility of a woman throughout, especially the last like 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, because you get glimpses of like the full
shadow
figure, but she's
even
you get like obscured through glass. You get the dark hair and the outfit.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, it's a woman, but who is it?
Right.
Or it's somebody presenting as a woman.
Yeah.
And we've heard these phone calls throughout the film with, you know, a weird voice. You can't really pinpoint if it's a masculine or feminine voice. It's just weird.
Yeah.
You know, it's not Donald Duck, New York Ripper weird, but it's almost like Black Christmas weird.
Dude, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Okay. We're on the same page there. Yeah.
Which actually a statement I was going to make earlier about that was, even though Black Christmas isn't considered because it's not Italian, it's not the usual thing. It's got a lot in common with Giallo.
Yeah,
a lot.
You can see where the influences come from because it's very much the same way. It's not
completely
a supernatural thing. It's very much a whodunit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an American version of a Giallo. It's just we tend to call them slashers.
Yep,
which is very much very similar.
Except it's the mystery aspect that separates. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, you have certain slashers that make it obvious, you know, who the killer is. But I mean, even if you go down to like the original Friday the 13th, you know, not my favorite, but I still hold that movie with high regards because it was it's creepy. And it still gives you the idea of like, well, who's doing this shit?
Yeah.
Now, of course, I mean, like, you know, the movie, you know, everybody knows, you know, it's not Jason killing everybody in the original. Oh God, did I ruin that for somebody? Well, then you should have fucking got off your ass years ago and watched the first one.
Before I even saw the first one, I knew who the killer was in the first Friday the 13th. I mean,
if you watch Scream, you should have already known that fucking shit. So.
Oh, God.
I can't even give anybody a fucking get out of jail free card if they've seen Scream. So fuck you, you know. but there is a mystery to it all.
Yeah.
And that's the important part. I mean, because even the original Friday the 13th, you could say was inspired by Giallo because of the murder mystery aspect of it.
It's very similar. There's a lot of first person shots of them coming in and people going, oh, hey, what are you doing here? Yeah. People recognizing who the killer is, and we're still in the dark going, wait, who is it?
Well,
who's doing these murders? Who is this? Why are people recognizing who it is?
Yeah. See, then this also goes back to the Godfather of Gore, Fulci. Fulci was a weird character for the simple fact that he wasn't like everybody else in Giallo after a while.
Nope.
You know, New York Ripper, Giallo. Don't kill or don't torture a duckling, Giallo. Cat in the Brain, Giallo, I would say.
Yeah,
But then
it's classified as Giallo everywhere I look when it's available to stream. It's classified
Right.
as Giallo.
Well, see, he also got, because he's, he was an Italian horror director, I mean, but when you look at like Zombie and The Beyond, City of the Living Dead, like that's not, people will call it Giallo. It's not. Those are straight up fucking like horror movies, because Giallo, the important thing about Giallo is the mystery.
Exactly.
It's like reading a pulp novel,
And that's what it's all based off of, those yellow stories, those yellow covered stories. I mean, Giallo translates literally to yellow.
Yeah.
There were those mystery novels that were written that were yellow covers.
Yeah.
That's where this all stems from. So there has to be the mystery aspect to it.
For it to be Giallo.
Giallo. If there's no mystery and it's straight up horror, that's a horror film. So if you're trying to classify Zombie 2 or Zombie as a Giallo?
No.
I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a dick or anything, but you need to go read up some more.
It's true. I mean, that's I've actually gotten this argument with people before. Because I mean, like us fucking, horror fans getting stupid arguments over dumb shit.
Yeah.
We're really good about it. And we're oh so passionate. Like I am guilty as well, completely.
Same.
But like, but I have had that conversation about like what is Giallo.
Mm-hmm.
What characterizes something as Giallo. And that is the thing that I come up with, is it's a murder mystery with extreme scenes. And it's very, it goes back to, the community that I'm a part of in the literature world of extreme and splatterpunk. That like, because there is some, I'll go ahead and throw this out here. There are some really good extreme splatterpunk-esque books out there that take from the old school pulp novels and whatever, the old detective novels, but they add a little bit extra to it, and I love that. I fucking love that. But you can't, I love Fulci, but when it comes down to hardcore Giallo films, Argento, I mean, Fulci is, he's a huge influence on me as a writer, visually, story, plot aspect, that kind of thing. Like, the weirder it can be, the more fucked up it is, go with it. That's how I look at it. That's the Fulci is, he's not just the godfather of gore. He's also a very big reason why I write the way I do.
Yeah.
And some people would be like, why? Well, whatever,
I say, why not?
Right, exactly. But there's only a few movies in his filmography that could actually be seen as Giallo.
Right. And
because we know who's killing in Zombie, so there's no Giallo behind that at all.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I like doing this Giallo month in January is I was not, and I'm still not, well versed in the genre of Giallo, so I wanted to learn about it. The best way is to jump right in with both feet and start learning.
Yep.
And I think there's a huge sect of horror fans that just think Italian horror is Giallo, and that's not true.
Exactly.
Giallo can fall into horror, but it's still its own genre altogether.
Yeah. It's really funny when I've gotten into some stupid arguments in my day when it comes down to horror movies.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. Because like, I like I've stated the past like 10 minutes, I'm a huge Fulci fan.
Right.
Okay. Fulci is and will always be considered the godfather of gore in my eyes, and nobody could ever take that away from me. I will stand on this hill until I die. But there's a lot of people that don't actually know what justifies as Giallo. And I've always said it. You know, you got Dario Argento and you've got Fulci. Okay, and Argento fits every criteria when it comes down to what is Giallo. There's the mystery. There's the there's the explicit sex. There's the explicit, throat cutting scene, or weird torture scene, something like that.
Right.
And where you're going, who did this? What's going on? And Fulci was just straight up like, oh, well, this is what's happening over here. Yeah. There's not much mystery, Fulci, always my favorite. His gore was the best, and Argento has always been his camera work and his lighting,
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to Bava, when we talk about Daddy Bava,
Mm-hmm. Which I will say, I'm not well versed in Mario Bava, so I'm getting there.
Jeff,
I'm getting there. I know.
Jeff.
I know. Blood and Black Lace is on the list to watch this year.
Oh, God damn it. You better have me on some Mario Bava episodes. Like, yeah, dude, no. If you're, that's the thing. If you're going to tackle Giallo, you got to start from the beginning. There's a lot of good directors in Giallo that, that the forefathers or whatever the fuck. But Bava, you know what you're getting into.
Oh yeah.
Bava was great at storytelling. There was something about the way he shot his films that were haunting. They were at times very, very disturbing. He's the king of it. When it comes down to 100%, Mario Bava is the king of Giallo films. And there's nobody out there that can tell me otherwise. Not one motherfucker. Okay? Yeah, we've got a few others around here looming around that, they're right underneath them. But Bava is the fucking man. And his son, his offspring, continuing that, and eventually not going against the name. For fuck's sakes, Bava, what a cool last name. Chuck Bava, please. Chuck Bava. Yeah.
That is your new name going forward. You are now Chuck Bava.
Chuck Bava. Chuck Bava nasty. You can. If anybody is anybody that knows about horror and Bava's name is spoken, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And
I already know, I haven't seen Bava's work, but I know his influence. I know I've seen scenes from his film, so I know what I'm getting into. It's hard not to with someone who's so prolific as Bava if you dive into Italian cinema. And I'll say that because it's more than just horror and Giallo, There's a lot more to it than that, although that is the most popular fare, I would say.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Similar like how a lot of Japanese stuff, it's Japanese horror, and then there's the other side, like the Lone Wolf and Cub and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
That's typically what everybody knows.
What do you, because I have to, God damn, I gotta try to get you to do this. So the M's of the year, is none of them Mario Bava month?
I never thought about that, but maybe May. Maybe May.
Dude, if you do a Mario Bava month, I will be on every episode. I know everybody wants to hear me constantly.
You know what? Let's workshop that. Let's put that.
I think it needs to happen because I love Bava. And the thing is, there's only been a handful of movies from him that I've seen. That I love. They're good shit. And you being somebody who hasn't experienced the storytelling of Mario Bava, I feel like it's necessary.
Yeah.
In the words of Reverend Maynard at the end of Undertow, this is necessary.
Yeah. Let's see about May. We'll see about that because
Mario Bava May. I'm down.
We can do Giallo any time of the year. For this one, I'm trying to pick strictly like not necessarily ones that everyone knows. Like last year, Black Belly of the Tarantula.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like 3 people on Facebook saying, "Oh yeah, I've seen that."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, good. I picked one that not a people have seen." New York Ripper is one everyone knows of it. But I was like, I just need to get it off the list.
True. Yeah, it's not. New York Ripper is. I would say that when it comes down to Fulci and Giallo, that is his Giallo opus in a lot of ways.
I can see that.
I mean, because he didn't deal with that mainly. I mean, him and Argento were head to head. You know what I mean? And fucking Argento paid for his funeral.
Yeah.
Argento made sure that he had a good funeral. He made sure that his name was mentioned and anything that they had anything to do with each other.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I have a lot of respect for Argento. I mean, he gets a lot of shit. His family gets a lot of shit. But we won't even go into.
We won't go into that. But yeah.
Rest in peace, Anthony Bourdain.
I love a lot of Argento's stuff that I've seen. I'm a huge Suspiria fan, but I look at Argento and Fulci as 2 sides of the same coin when it comes down to the horror stuff.
Yeah, of course.
The Argento side of the coin is these beautifully shot, well-lit, horrific scenes that are grotesquely beautiful. These bright colors, the splashes of blood. It's It's disturbing, but it's beautiful.
And it's great to watch after smoking a bowl.
Yeah.
In the dark.
I can see that. I have not done that, but I just might. And then you go to the Fulci side of the coin, and you're watching it going, oh God, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Then you're like, this is gross. Oh God, she's getting her eye gouged out. Oh fuck, what is happening? Especially watching The Beyond. The Beyond is one of those like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Right.
You find yourself wanting to go back to it.
But that is,
and I've watched it like 4 times, and I fucking love it.
I love The Beyond. God, what a good fucking movie! My first copy of The Beyond was not the copy that was called The Beyond. It was called 7 Doors of Death.
Oh, that's right.
I bought it for fucking $7 at Meijer during Halloween.
$1 for each of the doors.
Yep. And I fucking fell in love with that movie. And then years later, I found out about The Beyond. And I was like, oh shit, I gotta check this shit out. And I watched it. I'm like, yeah, it's the same fucking movie. and that movie, that to me, I would say that The Beyond and Zombie are Fulci's masterpieces when it comes down to that.
I'd say The Beyond is such a mind fuck.
The story's more consistent than anything else he's ever done.
Yeah. Zombie is just, how gross can I get? How fucked up can I make some of these visuals? Can I get people to be squirming in their seat throughout this movie?
Yeah.
And The Beyond is like, can I have people questioning reality? And you did it.
There's a whole thing. I actually wrote into Joe Bob. I don't know if do you ever see the video of them reading my letter?
I did see that. See that.
And that was the whole thing was I was on another podcast and we were talking about Fulci. We were talking about 7 Doors, or we were talking about The Beyond and City of the Living Dead and shit. City of the Living Dead, The Beyond. Fuck, what's the other movie? Oh, House by the Cemetery.
Yeah, I was thinking House by the Cemetery. I'm like, I don't know if that's it or not. I don't want to say it.
And we were discussing these movies and whatnot, and we came down to the realization that even though Fulci did not mean to do this, they all connect in some way, shape, or form. Those 4 movies connect, and Fulci was just I don't know. he was a mess of a fucking director. Because he didn't mean for us to all go and put those movies in order. Because honestly, we'll go ahead and do this real quick. If you put, because we're talking about Giallo and we're talking about Italian film and stuff, so fuck it. If you take House by the Cemetery, okay, House by the Cemetery, it ends with Bob and the little girl and the old woman going off. Okay, City of the Living Dead. You have a preacher who dies. He hangs himself. It's a whole fucking thing. And then there's this weird motherfucker in there named Bob. So you look at it like, well, Bob from House of Thousand Corpses, wrong movie, from House of the Cemetery, has grown up. He's been in a different dimension. And now he's even more fucked up than he was beforehand. I mean, there's a scene with him with a fucking blow up doll, in City of the Living Dead. It's bizarre. I don't even know why. I don't know what kind of medication Fulci was on when he made that fucking movie, but whatever. I love that movie, but again, it's a fucking mind fuck. Now you take all that shit, and then you go to the Beyond, and the Beyond takes you to the end of it all, the very end of it. We're all gone. There's nothing left. We're all done. And if you take it a step further, Zombie shows. Here's the thing about Zombie. Zombie came out at a time when George Romero, the godfather of zombies, of The Walking Dead, not that fucking show, I'll tell you that much, but he is responsible because that's where the fucking influence comes from.
Yeah.
Zombie showed us how they came to America. Zombie showed us how the zombies attacked. Now, Zombie was also a fucking cash grab. No fucking doubt about it. No doubt about it. Fulci knew what he was doing. Dawn of the Dead was he was doing all right. And he decided to fucking make a movie to show how it happened. And I think that as a horror fan, as an undead fan, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think that you can watch Zombie and then watch, Dawn of the Dead right afterwards, and they kind of fit. That kind of shit.
Well, I mean, I think that was part of the marketing too, is you had Zombie 2, and they're like, oh, these go together. And most people are like, well, not really, but there is a through line there if you really look.
Right. Which is sad because Fulci didn't, when he passed away, it wasn't a very glamorous, he wasn't living a very glamorous life.
Right.
There's a documentary called Fulci for Fake that I highly recommend. It is subtitled. There's interviews with his daughter on there and other people in there, and it's being narrated by a guy who is playing Fulci. And the thing with it was that Fulci always knew where he needed to be. He was kind of like when he went, because he started out in the Western shit and some of that stuff, and then the horror stuff broke, and he knew that if he rode on the coattails a little bit, that it might be something, and it was. He actually gave us the greatest fucking, because there were people watching Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, all this shit or whatever, and that watch Zombie and go, oh, this is how they came here. Exactly. Perfect. He doesn't give us, it's not there's a nuclear explosion and the dead's walking. No, He actually gave us the zombies that I think about. Because it takes place in fucking Hades or someplace, Africa or something,
Right.
where it all transpires and then moves its way into America. When it comes down to the sequels of that, no, thank you. Fulci had nothing to do with those movies.
Yeah.
That was Argento being nice. Argento had a lot of. See, this is the thing about Fulci. Sorry, I know this isn't a Fulci episode, but whatever the fuck.
No, perfectly fine.
That was the thing about Fulci. Fulci had a lot of. The guy was bitter. He was bitter. He was pissed off. He wasn't said to be the nicest fucking director.
That's the reputation I've heard.
He
could be very.
He was a douche
kind of a
nozzle.
dick. Yeah.
Yep. He had his women that he preferred. And old girl that was in City of the Living Dead, House with the Cemetery. He loved her to death. He was very obsessed with her. But when it came down to everybody else, he was very, very mean. He was a very, people talk about Stanley Kubrick being a dick. Fulci was said to be basically like times that by 10.
Jesus.
He was a moody son of a bitch. I mean, he was. I mean, like, if you watch Fulci for Fake, I mean, there's a lot of people on there that knew him, and but in the end, he didn't die. In a very, not a very, what's the word I'm looking for? He didn't die in a very honorable fashion. His health was bad. He lived in a 1-bedroom apartment that was fucking not that great. And, and it's actually really sad because he didn't really get to see the fandom. Right. I think if Fulci was here today, I think that he would love to know that his movies were,
oh yeah,
something that all of us horror geeks appreciate.
He died like a common person, and you wouldn't think that for somebody who was so prolific,
right,
with the films he's made.
Yeah.
So to know that, he didn't really have a lot.
No, it was
just like, oh god,
and then it also came down to him and Argento. Like they didn't get along. It wasn't because of Argento. Argento, they towards the end of Fulci's life, they got along a little bit. They had talked about doing. There was a movie that they were supposed to do together. I can't remember if that was Zombie 2 or if it was another one, but they were supposed to do it together, and it would have been amazing to have Argento and Fulci together. And our Fulci's health got so bad, and then he passed, and that's why Argento paid for his funeral arrangements. He made sure that people knew who he was, and I think that I'll always have utmost respect for Argento for that, because he didn't fucking act like he was better than or nothing like that. And even though his movies did better when they came out more than Fulci,
they hit more of a mainstream audience, I think, than Fulci did.
Yeah, definitely 100%. There's a lot of honorable shit with that, and I'll always be appreciative of that, because as a Fulci fan and somebody that I will stand up for Fulci 1,000% every time. I don't care what you fucking want to throw at me when it comes down to him. Yeah, he was a dick. Yeah, he was sexist. Yeah, some of his movies didn't make a lot of sense. But I have fun watching every one of them that came after Zombie. I don't care for the old shit. I didn't give a fuck about that, But you can't. I've got a sticker over here on my closet and it's the same sticker I had on my Jeep that I recently got rid of. And it says the same thing, and I fucking will always 100% fucking stand by it. Fulci Liz.
Nice.
But
Nice.
But I think that going back to Bava, I think a lot of the new school, the horror fans that are finding it about Argento, they're finding it about Fulci. I think the Bava's getting left behind.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of which I mean that's the beauty of Shudder, because Shudder's got a lot of Bava on there.
Yeah.
And I think that more horror fans in the younger generation need to check out Bava. I really do. I mean, it's sad.
Yeah. I will go one step further than that and say I think a lot of newer horror fans, those just getting into it, those who are into more of the new school stuff but want to learn more, go back to the foundations of horror and learn about all aspects, the international stuff. Go back to the Hammer stuff. Go through the old Universal stuff. I know people who are like, well, I won't watch a movie because it's black and white. It's like, well, you're missing out on some really good stuff there.
It's like, fuck you. Really? You're not going to watch it because it's black and white? Eat a dick.
It's like, there's a lot of good stuff in black and white. There's a lot of good stuff in those old movies. There's a lot of good stuff in the 60s and 70s. You ever watch Night of the Living Dead? You ever watch Night of the Living Dead in color? It takes away from everything. It takes away from everything when you watch it colorized. Mm-hmm. It was meant to be in black and white.
Yeah. That way Romero could use the syrup as blood. You know what I mean? Like, we don't always need to be remastered, That's what pisses me off about a lot of things.
Yeah. And that's one thing I try to do is go back through and kind of, where did this genre originate that I love so much?
Exactly.
Okay, what other countries were doing stuff that was so different? Okay, Italy's doing a lot of crazy stuff. Japan's doing some crazy shit. China and Indonesia, there's so many different places that have all this stuff. But yet the influence stems from one particular thing, and it's stories in their culture.
Yeah.
And it's throughout all of it. And whether it's ghost stories or it's Giallo stories, whatever it is, this horror genre is so full of different things.
Yeah.
That I think it's best for people to go back and just take a moment, watch some of that old stuff.
Exactly.
And even though it's black and white, some stuff might drag a little bit, but it's worth it to see something and then be able to have an opinion on it than to just go, oh, well, I won't watch it because of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I mean, I'm of this mentality. Don't hate watch something.
Right.
Because you're never going to have a good time. Take your expectations, lower them a lot, because a lot of times your expectations are going to be so high, even the biggest blockbuster film is going to let you down. Keep them at a realistic level, and you're going to find movies that you really enjoy that may not be the best out there, but there's going to be something you find that you like.
Yeah.
And even if somebody goes, oh, I don't really care for that, it was kind of boring, you'd be like, yeah, but I really like X, Y, and Z about it. I like what they did here, or I like the effects work that went into it. The story is kind of lacking, but the effects were great.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, the thing is, the movies that we have these days, the good ones, they're kind of retellings of the old school, and I've been more open-minded about newer horror films the past, I don't know, 10 years, maybe more. Right. Trying to be somewhat
it can be hard open-minded. I get it.
Well, I mean, a good example. Okay, and this to me, it just kind of shows the ignorance or maybe not ignorance. I'll take that back. I won't say ignorance, but the simple-mindedness of society and how it is. There's a movie out. You've probably heard of it. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's called Saltburn.
I've heard of it, but I have not seen it yet.
Okay, I want you to watch Saltburn. I was all about watching this fucking movie. Okay. I was told that there was like scenes in it that were really shocking and blah, 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 blah. And I won't go into what it was. Because
I did see your post and you didn't reveal anything about it, but I saw your post about it. But go ahead and elaborate on what you're going to say.
I believe that the movie itself is one that somebody you should watch. Give it a watch. But I couldn't find very many redeeming qualities in it.
Okay.
It was a regurgitation of the talent of Mr. Ripley. That's pretty much what it is. It's vomit. Okay. It's basically, the talent of Mr. Ripley. Here you go. Here's our version. And I hated that movie too.
I haven't seen it, so.
You've never seen the talent of Mr. Ripley?
No,
wow.
No. There was a time where those kind of movies were coming out, and people were like, "Oh, it's so good! It's this Oscar-nominated whatever." I'm like, "Fuck the Oscars!
Fuck the Oscars!" Exactly.
I was like, I want to see people's heads exploding, so I'm gonna go watch Scanners because I haven't seen it yet, or I'm gonna go check out Feast.
Yeah,
things like that. I was going to Blockbuster and finding the most obscure shit, or renting DVDs from Netflix.
Yeah.
So I missed out on the talented Mr. Ripley because I was like, eh.
Well, you had other
now
things
it's
to watch.
Like, yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's one of those movies that, like, Matt Damon was just not coming out being like, Mr. fucking sex symbol and fucking, Robin Williams, fucking that shit, What was that fucking movie he was in? It was the big movie, him and Ben Affleck.
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talent of Mr. Ripley. Interesting story, obsession, blah, 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 blah. Saltburn, very similar.
Okay.
There's been so much shit. Oh, I love this movie. This is my favorite movie now. Blah, 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 blah. It's trendy bullshit. There's nothing original about it. From the beginning of the movie what's going to happen at the end. Okay. I honestly, God, we don't have to do a podcast on it. Okay. But I want you and Leanne to watch Saltburn.
Yeah. Okay? I think we're going to get to it sometime here.
I'm
not necessarily for the show, maybe, but.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't have to be for the show, but I'm curious what you all think about it because I'm going to watch it for a second time here soon to make sure that my feelings for it are the same. But it goes back down to what society is seeing as good, and forgetting about the originators. Because, just even though Talent Mr. Ripley was a piece of shit movie, in my opinion, as well, it was the original. And people want to forget about it.
I can see that.
When you watch Saltburn, I'm pretty goddamn sure you're a smart fella. You're a smart fella. Leanne's a smart woman. I'm pretty sure you all will figure out at the very beginning of this fucking movie how it ends. And if you don't, I'm gonna virtually smack you in the head because goddamn,
she'll figure it out. She's the brains of the operation.
The females usually are.
She's the brains. Even
if we don't want to let them know that, yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
that's why we live a little longer sometimes.
Exactly. So I was looking up real quick. So Talented Mr. Ripley came out in '99.
Yeah.
Right. So to tell you the kind of stuff I was going to the theater or kind of catching up on later, maybe the next year when it was released on home video.
Mm-hmm.
So End of Days,
oh, wow.
The Haunting, Blair Witch Project,
wow,
House on Haunted Hill,
good one,
Audition,
oh wow,
Stir of Echoes.
I like Stir of Echoes. It's a fun one.
Oh yeah, Stigmata.
I like Stigmata. I do like
here.
Stigmata.
And these are ones that I've seen. I'm skipping over ones I haven't seen.
Right.
So we've got what is that? Idle Hands.
I like Highlander. That movie so much. I have the VHS of that still.
Yeah, Lake Placid.
I love Lake Placid.
Now, see,
Like-
I'll mention this one, but I haven't seen it yet. Terror Firmer.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah, I still have not seen it. I have to get to it.
Chroma, bro.
And then, of course, we've got Sleepy Hollow, The Sixth Sense.
Mhm.
God, I'm trying to see what else.
See,
The
The Sixth
Astronaut's
Sense.
Wife, The Mummy. I mean, these are what I was watching.
Oh, Astronaut's Wife. Dude, that was
That's-
such a letdown.
Dude,
Oh
it's so
my
bad.
God.
It's
it was
so bad.
horrible. How
But
do
then
you
you
have
go-
Johnny Depp and Charlize Theron, two of the greatest fucking actors of our generation? How do you put them in a movie and it suck?
It was not what I was expecting.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Acting was good. Horrible plot.
And then you've got 8mm with Nick
I
Cage.
love that movie.
The
So
Bone
fucked
Collector, which wasn't too bad. Denzel
Bone Collector
Washington
was
and
good.
Angelina Jolie.
That was a good
And
one.
then one movie that I was blown away by in the theater was The 13th Warrior
Never saw
with
it.
Antonio Banderas. Oh, it's really good. It's
Yeah.
a period piece, but have you ever in high school did you ever get to read the story Beowulf?
No.
Or you've seen any of the movies based on it?
No.
It's basically that story, but done in a way that is far better than what I read.
Like a little
And-
extreme. Like it's
Like
a
a
little
different
more
take
violent.
on it. Like the main character in it is it's and Antonio Banderas is the main character,
Mhm.
but he's with these like Danish guys and he's not understanding anything they're saying, but he speaks like so many languages, so he was picking up on things that they repeated and then figuring it out and kind of processing it in his head, learning how to communicate with them, speak their language. And then they're sent to like go kill it's a whole thing. It's really good. It's this century like monster kind of thing. I'd say check it out. It's really good. I love that movie.
Okay.
But I had a moment in the theater when I realized it was Beowulf. I went,
Ah.
holy shit. And the
Yeah.
girl I went to see the movie with, she was like, wait, what? I was like, I read this story in high school.
Yeah.
This
Deja
is
vu,
fucking big.
motherfucker.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. And then I was just into it from that point. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. It's sword fighting, it's horse riding, it's fucking cool. But I guess we need to get back to A Blade in the Dark here.
So yeah, I mean, like I feel like when it getting back to this movie, I feel like that it's it probably was a labor of love,
Yeah.
you know, because going back to Bava, you know, Daddy Bava, Papa Bava, whatever you call him.
The roots of what his father did so well.
Yeah. Like, so, I mean, like, I can't, I mean, his second Giallo film, like I said, the more we've talked about it, I don't hate it as much.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, I think his intentions were good. I think that, honestly, this would be one of those movies that I think should be remade.
I was going to say the same thing. If somebody took this and remade it, I wouldn't be upset with that.
Unless it was Blumhouse. If it was Blumhouse, and fuck you. But
Eh,
yeah, no,
I don't have as big a problem with Blumhouse, but I understand.
Well, I didn't either until fucking JB fucking opened my eyes to that shit. He ain't wrong. He ain't fucking wrong, man. I've tried to give Blumhouse a fucking go many times, and then JB proved to me why I should hate these fucking movies. So that fucking guy.
I will stand by my assessment this far that everything I've seen from them has not been terrible.
No.
And even I'll say this, the recent Black Christmas movie they released.
Don't you tell me anything good about it.
Here's the thing. It should
Oh
not
my
have been
God.
named Black Christmas. You
It
name it
shouldn't have been
anything
at all.
else. You name it anything else, and it's just fine.
No.
It's a fine movie. It's not the
Jeff.
best. It's not the worst.
Jeff.
I have seen far worse movies.
Jeff.
This
that
it's
movie-
ridiculous.
You made
but
okay,
I
hold on,
see
hold
what
on.
they were going for. It is not a. It should not have been named Black Christmas because it has nothing to do, other than it's set at Christmas time and there's a black liquid that is causing men to act the way they are.
What
I get
a
the
piece
message they
of
were going for.
shit.
I know it's not going to be for everybody, but that's the beauty of it. Horror is that genre where everything is not for everyone.
Jeff, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I love you, buddy. Okay, I'm just gonna do that.
Hey, go right ahead, man.
If you're trying to if you're trying to tell me that Black Christmas 2019 would have been good if it wasn't a Black Christmas movie, I'm gonna say that you need to go back and rewatch that movie. I don't tell anybody to rewatch that movie.
Oh,
reason being, no, hold on.
Okay, make your
Reason
point. Then
being-
I will counter.
Okay, the reason being, now a lot of horror movies have a political nature behind them.
Mhm.
They have some kind of agenda or whatever. They have some kind of motive or whatever when it comes down to these days. The problem with Black Christmas 2019 was the fact that they took a horror movie, okay? And instead of making it a horror movie, they made it an agenda film. And they disguised it as a horror film. They took every trope they could have politically that was going on at that moment and shoved it in that movie. Okay? They didn't worry about the plot. They didn't care. They were trying to fucking get some kind of goddamn fucking agenda going. They didn't care that it was a horror movie. Okay? They disguised it as a horror movie. Now, I have no problem with horror movies having agendas mixed in with it as long as the horror movie is still there. The problem with Black Christmas 2019 is they took a fucking horror movie and they fucking wrapped it so hard in their agenda and their fucking woke bullshit that it ended up being what it was. There is no horror movie in that movie. It's a one big agenda wrapped into another agenda, wrapped into another agenda to destroy a great fucking movie. Okay.
Okay.
Black Christmas 2019 is a piece of shit. It is worse than the fucking remake of fucking The Fog, and I hate that fucking movie with a passion because the original Fog is great.
The original Fog is far superior. Yeah. I also hate the remake of The Fog.
And if anybody wants to be like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'll tell you this. I love Black Xmas. Black Xmas, the 2006 sequel to Black Christmas, is one of the greatest fucking movies, like Christmas horror films you could watch. I love that movie. Fun as
Same
fuck.
Here.
It's fun. It's great. Why they decided to make the 2019 they did, I'm insulted. They made that movie in the time right smack dab in Agenda Field 101. And I have no problem. I have no fucking problem, Jeff, with people making movies that have a meaning. They have some kind of plot that is against, that goes for this, is against this, whatever. That's fine. But goddamn you, if you make a fucking movie, a remake of one of the greatest horror films ever made, just to fucking disguise it as your agenda, then fuck you. That movie was a piece of garbage. Hot, steaming pile of garbage. And I don't fucking think anybody should watch that movie. 100% And that's how I feel about that.
I see your point. And you make a lot of valid points within your argument there. Now, the first thing I'll address is I do not think this would be a better film if they changed the name.
No.
My point of contention on that is this is not a movie that should have been named Black Christmas because it has nothing to do with
Black
either
Christmas
of the two films, other than there's a sorority and it's at Christmas time. That does not denote using that name.
Right.
So I'm wondering if this had a different name and they went, hey, we have the rights to do a Black Christmas movie. Let's just slap that title on here and see what happens. Now, I'm not saying this is a great film. I am not saying that the message they were getting through was not heavy-handed and it hit you over the head with it.
Right.
I get what they were going for. So
Men are evil. we are the devils. That's what that movie was. That movie was a complete fucking.
And to be fair, there's a lot of men that are as bad as what they were depicting in this film.
There are, but not every man is a piece of shit. And that movie was trying to show that every man is a piece of shit. Therefore, the people that made that movie and the people that were okay with that movie are a piece of shit. And see, there's no reason for that.
And see, I didn't take it that way. I took it as, hey, maybe just be more careful of everyone around you.
No.
And I guess my point is, like, I didn't go into it. Like, I heard all the reviews, everyone panning this movie. I was like, okay. And when I went in, it didn't turn out as bad as I had heard. Now, that's my opinion. Okay, you have your opinion. I respect your opinion.
Of course,
you came away from it this way.
Of course.
This is the way I feel about it. I don't feel it deserves nearly the hate it gets, but I understand where people are coming from.
But why?
Now, at the same thing,
go on.
Because I feel they were trying to get a message out there, but they kind of missed the mark and were heavy-handed. 2 years later, we got a movie that had a message, and it didn't hammer you over the head with it. It was subtle. Candyman.
I do enjoy Candyman. Enjoy Candyman.
I've heard people say it hit you over the head, and I'm like, no, Black Christmas 2019 hit you over the head.
No,
Candyman 2021, it hits you, but it's kind of a gut punch. By the time you get to the end of the movie, you're like, oh, Jesus.
The last 10 minutes. God damn.
Everything about that is, they talk about the gentrification. They talk about all this, everything that has happened to that community. And then it's all tied into these stories and how things got changed. And when I realized that it tied into the original, that it wasn't just a remake, that it was a sequel.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit. I was like, okay, you got your message there, but you also tied it in and you gave us the horror.
Yeah.
Black Christmas 2019 just missed that mark. By a lot. I will admit that, by a lot. But I think the thing is, at my age, I'm 44, I'm more forgiving when people are out there trying to get something done. And I'm wondering if this was Blumhouse giving somebody a chance, like, let's just see what you can do. Like, I think a lot of Blumhouse stuff might be, let's see what happens, because we have a production company that can get your movie out there. Let's see what happens. And if it misses the mark, but they still got things like the Halloween trilogy they can fall back on that made a ton of money, regardless of how people feel about Halloween Ends.
Shit. Like, that's the thing. Like, I have a buddy of mine, and he is very, like, he always tries to find something good. Okay? He's one of us. He's a horror fanatic through and through. And he always tries to find something good within, movies, remakes, reboots, whatever the fuck. And he told me straight up, don't watch this movie. It's going to piss you off. He's like, I hated this fucking movie. This movie was not. And because, Black Christmas, it's a staple because, it was before Halloween. It was kind of the first slasher, and if it was Italian, it would have been Giallo, 100%.
Yeah, and it's not supernatural in any way.
Right, exactly. And so, like, I watched the 2019 version of Black Christmas finally, even though Chris told me, don't do it. Don't do it. And I said, fuck it, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, and I knew your opinion when I was going to say that, and I mentioned it to JB and Ron as well, and JB was like, what? Kind of like you, he was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
And it's like I said, at this point, I'm 44. In my 20s, I did a bunch of, bullshit gatekeeping of horror that I shouldn't have done. And now at this age, I'm like, I don't want to gatekeep anyone. So there's somebody out there who's watching this, who's watched that 2019, and this is maybe their first foray into horror.
Well,
it's not a good foray into horror, but maybe it gets them to go, hey, wait, there's 2 other movies with this name. Let me go check those out. Yeah. Maybe they'll be like, oh, those are far superior because those are, the killers in the house kind of thing. What the hell's going on? 2006 gets a little crazy,
I love
the Billy
2006.
Story and Flesh Cookies. I really enjoy it,
I love it.
but the original is so much
It's
better.
superior.
It's
It's
superior
superior.
because it's what it doesn't give you.
And that's 100%. Completely true. I the first time I saw the original Black Christmas, I mean, it was an instant favorite. I mean, it was a complete, is everything that I fucking love in horror movies. I mean, it's a creepy fucking movie. The killer, the call is coming from inside the house. Now, that's fucking terrifying. And when people, that's the thing, though. I mean, when people want to take, classic films, like Black Christmas, and then when Black Christmas came out, this is why it becomes an agenda thing. Because when Black Christmas came out, it was the Me Too movement. It was Black Lives Matter. It was all that shit going on at the moment. And I think that production companies took advantage of that.
Yeah.
And they thought that they could, bring in something meaningful or whatever to the genre. And I'm okay with that. I mean, there are movies out there that I'm okay with that they have strong female cast or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like it's the story plot. It's where you're trying to, who are you trying to reach? The Black Christmas 2019 just, it didn't hit. It was not, like you said, it had nothing to do with the other movies, so I mean,
it was definitely like trying to cash in at the height of a movement. Like, hey, we have a movie that's very much in line with this. Let's get it out there.
Yeah.
But it missed the mark.
Completely.
By a lot.
Completely.
Because you can do something, dial back a bit, make it a little more subtle, give us a little more horror about it. You can do Black Christmas in a contemporary way. And you can change a few things here and there, but you got to keep the core of the story similar. This went and veered complete. Like, I don't mind if somebody were to take, the story of Black Christmas from the 70s, like they did with 06, and you can update it for modern days. You can update it for 2024. You can have the calls being text messages. You can have, them cloning a Wi-Fi signal, something. You can do it the right way.
Yeah.
But if you want to have a message in there as well, you just got to do it where there's subtleties there and not just hammering the thing over the head.
Well, pick a different movie. Like that was not, I mean, Black Christmas. What's it about? It's about a group of sorority girls that live in this house with a drunk ass fucking woman who is the house mother. And there's all kinds of chaos going on. There's murders happening. There's a mystery behind it all. We don't know who's the killer.
Yeah, I mean,
And the thing is, that's fine. When you bring in a movie that has such substance, okay, Black Christmas is a film that I believe, and I'm not alone on this. It was the originator of the slasher film. It is an American Giallo film, as much of a fucking cocksuck as that sound is. Because it is. It fits all the fucking things. 2019, that movie was nothing more than agenda. Going back to Candyman, I was worried about Candyman. I'm not a Jordan Peele movie fan. Okay,
I can understand that. He's not for everybody.
He's not. I'm a fan of Key and Peele, whatever the fuck it's called. I like that show. And you get a good sense of the morbid humor that that Jordan Peele has on that show. But like Get Out, I didn't care for. Us, I fucking hated. I thought it was annoying as fuck. Shut the fuck up. That's a fucking stupid, mediocre, fucking piece of shit storyline that everybody blew up over for obvious reasons. It's stupid.
See, I like Us, but I wasn't as enthralled by it as I was with Get Out.
Get Out,
I think was far superior, but Us was still fun for me to watch.
Well, I mean, a lot of people, like a very hated opinion is the fact of like, Nope. A lot of people hated Nope. And honestly, I loved it.
I thought it was fantastic.
I thought it was an interesting fucking way to go about a fucking alien film, considering the fact that spoiler alert, that the spacecraft was alive. I've watched interviews with people who, and listened to interviews with people who had dealt with experiences with the paranormal and with aliens and stuff, that said that they even touched the goddamn thing and it was like reptilian. Nope was I thought Nope was a good story. I thought that it had a good cast. It was an interesting wraparound. I didn't care for the last 10 minutes of the movie, but
I can see that.
But I did enjoy it. It was different.
Yeah.
It was different. There wasn't, the agenda that it was going for was, hey, maybe we shouldn't be so shitty to animals.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I'm fine 100% with that. Yeah, I think it did it. I think it worked perfectly with it.
Yeah.
The problem, with, going back to Black Christmas 2019 was the fact that there was, at the time, it was a lot of agenda. And if you didn't have, an overflow of agenda in your films, I honestly, I'll quote Jeff Goldblum on this one. They made these fucking movies and they were okay with it. Okay. And they were like, oh, we're going to make these movies. They never thought for a second that maybe they shouldn't have made these movies. Okay. Yeah. So that's not really quoting Jeff Goldblum. I was trying to do a little Jurassic Park thing and I fucked it up. Yeah. But it's simple as they never thought they maybe should. Should they do these fucking movies? Probably not.
Yeah, they only thought we could. They never thought about, but
maybe they should.
Yeah. I know what you were getting at, and we have a very shitty way of putting that together. But yeah,
my bad. But yeah, you get the fucking point.
Yeah.
And going back to the Giallo aspect of things, I think that slowly but surely, I think that Giallo style films are becoming more of a thing. There's a lot of, and it also goes to, American films ripping off, Italian films and Mexican films and all that shit.
Yeah.
But there is, you can't get away from the fucking influence of it all, And I think that, I think that when it comes down to movies like A Blade in the Dark, it's a movie that we're not too keen on it. It's not great, but it's not horrible either.
No.
I would much rather have movies like that with that kind of feel, maybe just a little bit better in directing or writing or whatever.
Yeah.
Come out in theaters. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. It has its problems for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's little things we can pick apart, like when Bruno hits Tony in the head with a brick at the end of the movie to knock him out.
Yeah.
One, that brick wouldn't have shattered the way it did.
No.
And two, Tony wouldn't have been back up as quick as he was.
No. I've hit somebody in the head with a fucking concrete brick before. They don't
He'd
get it
have
very
been
hard.
at least concussed, if not, hemorrhaging and twitching like homeboy that got hit in the mallet in the head by Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw.
Right. There's a lot of bleeding involved. There's it's like a flow of a river.
But at the same time, like, it is a movie. It makes for a more sensationalist thing that the killer pops back up, because that's the trope. The killer's never down in one shot.
No, never. He always comes back. I mean, like, even in Die Hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't ever think that the killer is always done. But the thing is, with Giallo films, a lot of times they are. Like, it's like, oh, they're done. That was another thing I had an issue with this movie. Now, I know we're all over the place on this shit, but it is the fact that, like, Tony's end was very quick.
Yeah.
It was very like, oh no, what's going on up here? Oh, we see this silhouette of a woman with holding a knife, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, dead. Movie's over.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and let's not forget about Bob dressed like a girl. Let's focus on that for just a second. Poor Bob.
Poor fucking Bob.
Poor fucking Bob. Like the whole thing, the scene in the fucking movie that was being shot was this fucking kid being like teased about being a fucking female.
Yeah.
Which would not fly these days, obviously.
No. A lot of stuff that was in this wouldn't fly these days.
No. But the ending? No.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of a bad ending. I mean, like, okay. I'm okay with, like, ooh, shocking ending, or ooh, surprise ending. Why is he in the real world? He's an actor in a movie, in a scene. And then all of a sudden, he's wearing a wig, and he's no.
Yeah, there are things that are just not explained, and I get certain things in Giallo don't need to be fully explained, but when you just throw something in like that,
sometimes I do. Yeah.
And the whole, like, Sandra knowing this Linda person, but then saying it couldn't be the same person, but then she based the movie off this Linda that she knew as a kid.
Off the golf, the tennis
playing
balls.
Tennis, and there was a trunk of tennis balls, and like, yeah, I don't hate this film. It's kind of a mess, but at the same way, it gives it a little bit of charm.
Yeah,
but it's not the greatest movie out there.
No.
I think you have to be someone who's interested in learning more about Giallo to really sit down and watch this.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely a staple. I mean, like, if you're gonna go through true Giallo films and whatnot, it's one of the later ones you should check out. But I mean, like, I think it deserves a watch.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it does fit all the kind of the tropes and whatnot of earlier Giallo films.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have the traditional black leather gloved killer, but
Argento and
it's a mysterious killer. You don't know who it is throughout the film unless you pick it up, like Chuck did, and I missed out on because I just wasn't paying attention apparently. But I kicked myself for that.
Fucking Argento killed his own daughter in a movie.
Yeah,
like the guy in the black gloves, that's Argento. And most of his fucking films, if there's a killer with gloves on, it's him. Which also leads me to believe that Dario Argento is a fucked up person.
It's very weird.
It is. Because if you watch the movie, what movie was that Asia was in? Because it was
there's
Anthony Bourdain's woman,
and
there was one in particular, and I can't remember the fucking name.
One I want to say he directed her in. It was either a nude scene or something. People were like, that's weird because that's your daughter. You couldn't have had like a second unit director on that, or anything. It's like, that's kind of weird.
He made sure. That's the weird thing about him. And that's where there are a lot of questions when it comes to Argento, is the fact of, like, most people They don't want to watch their kid die.
Yeah. They don't want to be the one to do it on film either.
That's the thing. Is like a lot of people, actors, they don't want to see, their parents don't want to see them die on camera, and you're killing your kid. Now, I mean, at the same point, though, I mean, like, I don't know the relationship that Asia and Dario have.
Neither do I.
I know it's not great. But for all I know, they had a joking relationship at the time or something, and it was a joke that he killed her in movies and whatever.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop the fact that it's kind of weird.
Yeah. I'll say this: when I first saw Land of the Dead, I liked the movie.
Yeah,
I was like, "Ooh, that's Argento." God damn.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, "Oh, all right." And then I heard all the weird shit, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Man, that's
like. I was like, "Oh, all right. This is nice to look at." And then I was like, "Oh, somebody hit me to what was going on with all the stuff." I was like,
"Yeah,
kind of weird." That's kind of weird, and not on her. It's on. It's more on her dad.
No, it's more on Papa.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there were before Bourdain passed, she was a leading person in exposing a lot of essay, if you will, in the business and whatever. And a lot of people say that had something to do with Bourdain's death, which was so weird. Like when I found out that like Asia Argento was his woman, I was like, crime solved. I don't fully believe that he, but I mean, there's a documentary that came out a few years ago that kind of leads you to believe that maybe he did, right. But considering the fact of what they said, that why whatever, and then Chris Cornell died, and then Chester Bennington died, and all this shit, So it's kind of a weird fucking thing, but beside the fucking point. But yeah, like I don't hate this movie.
It's got a really cool fucking title.
I love the title, A Blade in the Dark. That right there is like it's like my book House of Flesh. It's a simple title. Gets the point across, and it fucking makes you like go, oh, what is this about?
Well, here's one little piece of trivia I found, because there's not a whole lot of interesting trivia, but Lamberto Bava said he liked the American title, A Blade in the Dark, far better than the Italian title, House of Dark Stairs.
House of Dark Stairs is the original title?
Yeah, that's the Italian title, House of Dark Stairs.
I actually like that better.
There's only 2 times really that we see those stairs, and that's in the beginning, and then clips from that movie. Those are the only dark stairs really in this movie.
Well, yeah, it's a good title.
It's a good title. It doesn't work for this movie.
It doesn't work for that movie. No. Blade in the Dark works because we have a shitty box cutter and that big ass fucking blade that just seems to go through people for no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, again, not a bad title, but wouldn't fit whatsoever.
No. So ultimately, I think we're both saying, yeah, check it out. It's worth a watch.
It is. As long as it is a fun watch. If you're wanting, if you're getting into Giallo, or you like slasher films, you like good mystery, you like suspense films, whatever. I mean, yeah, it's a good one to check out. Is it one of the better ones? No, it's not. But what can you do? Again, I would have to say that give Lamberto a chance. His dad was kind of not kind of, but I mean, like a big
one of the masters.
One of the masters.
Yeah.
Of horror films. I mean, let's just fucking hold on a second, because I feel like we're talking about Bava here. I mean, we can't forget Black Sunday. Okay, 1960s Black Sunday, classic. Okay, Blood and Black Lace, Black Sabbath. Okay, the movie that inspired the band. Boris Karloff. Like, I mean, you can't. When my son was 3 years old, or I'm sorry, he was 2 years old, before me and his mom split. And, you know, he was having a rough night, couldn't sleep. And me and his mom and him were in the living room, and we put on Black Sabbath. And he loved it. I mean, he was a little guy, and he just fucking loved it. And there's a whole point in the movie where Karloff's face is just like right there. Like, it's just kind of chiming at you, you know, it's just coming at you. And it freaked him out. He kept crawling on his mom, like he was like, you know, but he liked it though, you know. You know, you can't get away from that shit. Kill, baby, kill. The Evil Eye. The House of Exorcism, which is also known as Lisa and the Devil. I mean, Barren Blood.
Yeah, I think a
Hatchet for the Honeymoon.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on. There's just $5 for an August moon. I mean, you can go through them. I mean, like, I'm sitting here looking at this fucking shit, and I'm just like, God damn, dude.
Yeah. There's
so many movies of Bava, you know, that doesn't get half the love and respect that he deserves these days. And the fact that his son, you know, I tried to keep going. And I have nothing but utmost respect for that, because, you know, you hear Bava, you should know what Bava means. Yeah. Bava is life.
And a part of me just wonders, to close out this conversation on A Blade in the Dark, I wonder if in 83, if maybe, just maybe, because we had Giallos from the 60s, 70s, even before, I wonder if it had that same kind of effect where slashers just kind of died off in the 80s. I wonder if Giallo was getting to that point, so maybe that's why this movie kind of ended up the way it did. That maybe it was the tail end of Giallo's just kind of dying, or nobody's really interested anymore because things were changing. The landscape of cinema was changing. It could be a number of factors, but
I think that
I say check it out.
Yeah. I mean, one last note on that real quick. I think that if we put more mystery into our horror, I think we would have a lot better movies. That's a favorite of a lot of people that like horror films and whatever, is like the mystery of it. I mean, you can decapitate and disembowel and viciously kinky fuck somebody, whatever. But as long as you have a good story. And I think that Giallo films have a lot of great stories that a lot of people ignore because of this, that, and the other. And I think that if you're not familiar with the genre, start with Bava. Start with Mario Bava and work your way down. And you're going to find yourself either hating them 100% or you're going to love them. Because I've never met a motherfucker who was in between about it. You love them, you hate them. This wasn't one that I loved, but I didn't hate either. So
same, and agreed on that point.
Yes, sir.
So after all of that, Chuck, why don't you go ahead and plug the shit out of what you got going on, man? We'll do it again here at the end.
Okay.
Because you were nice enough to come on. I appreciate it. Thanks for the conversation about A Blade in the Dark and anything else we rambled on about. So the floor is yours.
Well, first off, thank you for having me again. I'm anytime you need me, man. I love our conversations. We have a blast every time we talk. We could probably do an 8-hour show, and not anybody would listen to it, but
Somebody might, and I commend them.
right, yeah. So what I've got going on these days, you can go on Amazon and check out my novel, House of Flesh. If you're a fan of weird satanic orgies in a weird haunted house, check it out. My novella, Thirsty, about a killer soda machine based on true events. No, not based on true events, but there actually was a soda machine out in the middle of nowhere that Whitman, who I've mentioned, found years ago, and he told me about it, and I was like, I've got to write this. Mm-hmm. Literally a fucking soda machine in the middle of nowhere. It ended up being ran. It ended up being ran by somebody a lot nicer than the guys that I wrote about in the book. You can also pick up Sludge, the anthology with me, Stuart Bray, and Jason Nicky. It's a bunch of fucked up body horror, weird parasites, that kind of shit. It's a real fun read, and it has two of my favorite stories that I've ever written in it: Dickworm and Toxic Mouth. Dickworm being my favorite. Those are on Amazon. Coming up February 5th, we have Going to Hell, Fresh Kills Volume 1, that is coming out on Unveiling Nightmares Press. Really excited about it. Like I said earlier, we got Audible coming in on that shit. So there's many platforms that's being sold at. And I've got to say, I've got to throw it out there. Mm-hmm. Unveiling Nightmares, they're pretty new when it comes down to certain things, but they make sure that their authors get their shit. And I went from having one place that I was selling my books to now this one book is being sold in like 20 different places. So,
very nice.
So yeah, it's a good start to the fucking 2024, so feel free to check that shit out. My band, Bastard Sons of a Judas Goat, Bandcamp, Facebook, YouTube. There's a lot of fun. If you go to our Facebook, there's a few, I would say recent shows, but they've been about a year now, I guess, close to it, that are pretty fun to check out. Our new album's coming out soon. I would tell you the name, but it's so long I forgot it. It's at least 6 words, and I'm draw a blank. So be looking out for that shit. The podcast that I do are Nasty Nation, which has been on hiatus for a little while, but there's a reason for it. So that's going to be a thing again here soon. I've been kind of taking a break, mm-hmm. When it comes down to that. Graveyard Talk, kind of the same thing. We've been trying to Whitman's doing his shit, I'm doing my shit, and we're going to reconvene here in the next month to start getting some more episodes out. Video Store Clerks, every Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern time. We talk about horror movies, we talk about comedies, we talk about action films, we talk about a little bit of everything, and it's fucking beautiful. And Jeff will be a guest on what movie did you decide you want to be on for?
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Ace Ventura. So Jeff will be on for that one.
That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh, fuck yeah. Ron Pertee will actually be joining us. He on another, I can't remember what movie it was that he said, but he is also going to be coming on at some point too, along with a few others. Trying to think. That might be it at the moment. So recap, Chuck Nasty. Oh yeah, go to my Facebook author page, Chuck Nasty. Okay, go to that. Okay, that Chuck Nasty. There's a reason why I'm saying it like that. For the love of God, go to Chuck Nasty and check that shit out, because I've been getting a lot of weird. I was already warned about it in the beginning. I've been getting a lot of weird messages from people and friend requests, and come to find out that one person that I don't think he's a bad dude, but I've been kind of creeped out, and he lives literally in my neighborhood. So, yeah, so Chuck Nasty, go to that page.
Yeah,
Hit me
we
up
will
on that,
make sure
whatever.
we link to your author page for Chuck Nasty.
Yeah. So
That's
Chuck
where
Nasty,
you go to check out everything Chuck is doing.
Yeah.
As far as the
Chuck-
as far as the writing goes, I'm pretty sure, right?
As far as the writing goes, so Chuck Nasty, Unveiling Nightmares, Video Store Clerks, Nasty Nation, Graveyard Talk, Bastard Sons of a Judas Code, and that's it. Yeah, check all that shit out.
Make sure you check all that out. We will have links to everything Chuck talked about in the show notes. As far as Skewered Universe, you can find us on all major podcast platforms: Apple, Google, soon to be YouTube Music. That's transitioning this year, so get ready. It's not a surprise. Figure it out. Spotify, Amazon, so get your Echo out and ask to listen to Skewered Universe. You can head over to skeweredhead.com. There you can find links to all the social media we talked about: Facebook, Threads, Instagram. It's all there, as well as a link to our Patreon, where you can become a member and get access to audio commentaries and bonus episodes, all sorts of stuff like that. We have an affiliate link in the show notes as well for anyone who wants to start a podcast, because we're a Podbean affiliate. You can use that. That also supports the show and gives you a free month of podcast hosting with a paid unlimited plan. I think that's pretty much everything I have to say. Oh, Saturdays you can check me out on Tales from the Podcast with JB, and as Chuck mentioned, Ron. Jesus, I can't even get names straight. Let's try that again, shall we?
Let's try it again.
I'm cutting this out. Let's try it out. Saturdays you can find me on Tales from the Podcast with JB, and as Chuck mentioned, Ron Pertee as well. Right now we're finishing off the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise without the 2 remakes. So the next...
Without the 2 remakes?
Yeah, we're skipping those. Because we're sticking to the original timeline, sort of.
Are you on that doing the recent one?
That is what we're finishing off with, the 2022 Netflix.
Yeah, I like
Texas
that one.
Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it again and see if I have a different opinion. The first time I didn't really care for it, but we'll see where I stand now.
Yeah, the Laurie Strode Sally fucking bullshit, that's my least fucking favorite thing about that movie.
That's where I was like, really?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we got coming up over there. And tune in for more January's for Giallo here at the Skewered Universe. So Chuck, again, I want to thank you for coming on. This has been a great conversation as always.
Oh, dude, yeah. I have a fucking blast when we do this shit. Like,
Same here, man.
You know that.
I mean, talking
that.
with you for a long time, it just flies by.
It does. It does.
You're welcome back anytime. As far as everyone else, just keep enjoying that universe. That's a bit skewered.